TUGS Audio Productions present Lost, written by Ryan and Christopher.
The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is TUGS.
Travelling in thick fog is a hazardous task for tugs. With such poor visibility, it can either make things very difficult or very dangerous, especially as tugs back then didn't have radio or radar. I remember a time, one particular winter, when I had sent 10 cents upriver to deliver a barge of pipes to a factory. He knew the path up there well enough, so getting there wasn't a difficulty for him. Getting back, however, was due to be a completely different story altogether.
Oh well, that's another job done. Better head on home now before it gets dark.
But as 10 cents began to move off, he didn't see Billy Shupak coming along the canal opposite him. He collided with Billy's barge, which sent a case of dynamite into the river.
Uh-oh!
The old barge was swept up in a huge wave and dragged under. 10 cents and Billy looked on in disbelief.
Now look what you've done, 10 cents. You've gone and sunk me barge.
Oh dear, I'm really sorry, Billy. I didn't see you coming. I'd never have pulled out otherwise.
Alright, I'll forgive you this once. Still, it made a lovely big bang, didn't it? All the same, we'll need to salvage this wreck before it causes another mishap. I'm off to get help.
What? I can't stay up here for this. It'll be dark soon. I need to get back to Big City.
You should have thought of that before you sunk my barge.
Oh, all right then, Billy.
10 cents reluctantly edged over to the point where the old barge had sank, and waited whilst Billy went off to fetch the nearest floating crane. But Billy was gone for a long time. Darkness fell much too quickly, and the mist rolled in from the sea, so thick that soon 10 cents couldn't even recognise the place.
Gosh, this fog ain't half thick, is it? Oh, come on, Billy. Where are you already?
Here I am. Sorry I took so long. Had to see an owner about a barge. Thanks for your help. I can manage it from here.
Good, you're welcome to it. I'll see you around then, Billy. Bye.
Ta-ra then, and take care. The vault looks rather thick.
Don't I know it.
10 cents had been upriver countless times before, but this was the first time he had ever travelled along it at night. With the thick fog swirling around him, he found it very difficult to keep his bearings.
Okay, let's see. Am I at Mittsville yet? God, I can't even tell where I am in this mist. Let's try this way.
Oi! What's where you going?
Ow! Stupid bellboy! Alright, must be this way then.
Setting off down a river, 10 cents hoped that it would be the right way. He travelled for a long time with no signs of any familiar landmarks, and soon he began to worry.
What's that? Foghorn? Oh no, I must be out at sea. Oh, I haven't a clue where I am with this stupid fog. Alright, Tensons. Alright, calm down. Remember OJ's advice. When in a fog, look for familiar shapes and boats you know. Right. Good, 10 cents, good. Guess I'll try to head back, hope to find someone who can help me.
Meanwhile, back at the Star Dock, all the other tugs were fast asleep. All that is, except Sunshine, who was still wide awake and very worried.
By heck, this fog's getting thick. Where could 10 cents be? Psst, OJ, wake up.
Yes, what's happening?
OJ, it's 10 cents.
No, you're not your Sunshine, you cheeky imp.
No, I mean 10 cents hasn't returned. He's been gone for hours. Should have been back after dusk.
Oh dear, oh, that is serious. Oh, I can see what you mean from that fog. You lot, wake up!
Oh, is it morning already? Looks much too early for 6 o'clock.
Oh, I say, it's still night, for goodness sake. What right have you got to wake important tugs like myself from such a plentiful slumber?
Stop mourning, Top Hat. Listen, 10 cents isn't home yet. The fog's thicker than usual tonight, so my guess is something's happening or he's missing.
Oh dear, poor little fella. We'll have to go and look for him.
Aye, I'm with you, warrior. We'll need to form a search party.
Good thinking, Big Mac, old man. We'll look around all the usual places 10 cents might have passed in the hope that we'll come across him soon. I, of course, will search out at sea just in case.
Good thinking, Hercules. In fog like this, even the most experienced of thugs can still wind up in the strangest of places. You lot start looking. I'll join you once I've informed Captain Star. Remember, when in doubt, sound your whistle and let yourself be heard.
No problems, my dear. We'll remember.
Bother that switch. Of all nights to go and get himself lost. How careless can one be?
You cut that out about 10 cents. What's important is to find and bring him home safely, not getting a proper night's sleep. Now then, we'll split up and look in different locations. Keep an eye out for anything that looks or sounds familiar, and always keep a mark on where you're going. Got that?
Yes, quite. Message received and understood.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get looking.
With that confident remark, the Star Tugs set off in different directions, each one calling out 10 Cent's name. Meanwhile, the little switcher himself was making his way aimlessly through the fog, still looking for familiar sights and sounds.
Oh, this is hopeless. I'd be better off mooring up somewhere for the night rather than this. Hey, hang on a minute. I can see a flashing light. That could be Lily. Oh, thank goodness I'm on my way back from there.
10 Cents rushed across the bay, calling out to Lily, and was sure that he found his way home.
Why isn't she answering? Lily!
But as he got closer, 10 Cents looked up and realized that it wasn't Lily at all. He was heading toward a lighthouse.
Oh no! Oh, so much for finding a familiar sight. There could be hundreds of lighthouses between here and home. Just gotta keep looking.
10 Cents headed off half-heartedly back into the mist and continued on feeling disappointed, tired as he tried to find his way home. Across the bay, the other Star Tugs were still out looking for him.
10 Cents! 10 Cents, where are you?
Ay, caramba, warrior, watch where you're going.
Warrior? Warrior indeed, is he? What on earth are you doing here anyway?
Waiting for someone to come out here and give me a tow into port. How much you want?
What, me? Tow you into port? Oh no, the very thought! That's a menial job worthy of a lesser tug than I!
I pay you any price you want, amigo. I really need to unload these bananas.
The only place I'd be able to take you is the breaker's yard. Aside from that, we're all supposed to be out looking for 10 Cents. Might as well ask while I'm here. Have you seen him anywhere?
In this fog? You'd be lucky. The fog is very thick. Very small chance of being seen.
And very little chance of seeing anything else in your way, banana brain. Perhaps you should. Just wait until you hear Zoran or one of the other Z-stacks and then start moving.
Oh, I do that anyway when I hear Z-stacks approaching.
A bit big to be 10 Cents, don't you think, Top Hat?
I am looking for him, warrior, but Izzy got in my way.
Hey, I've been anchored here for 2 days, and you're the first one to find a problem with where I stand.
And they say that I'm the clumsy one.
That's because you are.
Oh yeah. Oops.
Anyway, if you see or hear from 10 Cents, let him know, but on the lookout for him.
Don't worry, Top Hat. I'm sure we'll bump into him at some point tonight.
Very droll, warrior. Very droll.
I say, any luck yet, my dears?
Well, Top Hat found Izzy.
Yes, but unfortunately no 10 Cents as yet.
Well, I'm going to head out and speak to Lily. See if she's seen anything. Knowing 10 cents, he'll be looking out for her beacon.
Big Mac had made the decision to go upriver and see if 10 cents had run into trouble on his route home.
10 cents? 10 cents! Where are you? Oh, suffering lumpy porridge! What's that?
Hello, Big Mac. What brings you up this way, then?
Oh, it's you, Shoepak. I'm looking for 10 cents. He never came back to the Star Dock.
Cool, that is unusual. I saw him a few hours ago. He sunk one of me barges by mistake. Well, still, he made a lovely big bang. I mean, you should have seen it, the sparks.
Never mind your stupid big bangs. Do you know what 10 cents is?
Well, I'm sorry to say, I haven't the foggiest. Get it? Foggiest? We're standing in the middle of thick.
I get it. So you don't know what he is, then?
Well, last I saw him was when he left to go home. He'd say behind the mountain when the barge sank. I'm just taking a replacement supply to the customer now. So if you excuse me, I'll...
Hang on a minute there, Shoepak. You've given me an idea.
What's that, then?
I can't believe I'm actually going to suggest this. How about we put one of those into action?
You mean like a big explosion?
Aye. Well, it could act as a beacon for 10 cents. Give him something to look for, or at least hear in the fog.
Oh, great! It's a good thing I always bring a spare flare for these kind of occasions. Oh, better still, how about we use dynamite? That'll make a bigger bang, won't it?
Only if you're going to strap it to yourself. No, a flare will be suffice. Yeah, just send it up, Shoepak.
Hercules was heading further and further out to sea, trying to see if he could find 10 cents. The fog out at sea was thicker than closer inland, so he was finding it difficult to get his bearings.
10 cents? Where are you, 10 cents? I say 10 cents, can you hear me? Where are you, 10 cents? I say, it sounds like a tramp. Maybe they can some assistance. Ahoy! Ahoy there! I say, who's there?
But there was no reply from the tramper. Hercules tried to pursue it, but it disappeared into the mist just as quickly as it had appeared to him.
Well. Just need to keep searching, I suppose. 10 cents? 10 cents, can you hear me? 10 cents.
Right, I'm in the open sea, I can see and hear nothing familiar, and I'm still lost. So much for OJ's advice, that hasn't done me much good this time around. Hang on, that sounds like a tram steamer. They'll be headed for Big City, or heading away from it. Either way, it's a good indicator for a path home.
Elated at the prospect of getting back safely, 10 cents followed the sound of the distant foghorn, hoping that it would be the saving grace that brought him home. Meanwhile, OJ had alerted me to the problem and was catching up to Sunshine, who was exploring through the old buildings.
Oh, any luck yet, Sunshine?
None as yet, I'm afraid, OJ.
I haven't seen him anywhere either.
Well, he'd hardly be down there, would he, Grampus? Or at least we hope he isn't.
Every little helps, you know, Sunshine.
My own reckoning is that he'll be out at sea somewhere, and if he is, then Hercules ought to find him.
Either that, or he may have hit something out on the estuary. Maybe... You don't think Bert and Blair found him first, do you?
Oh, I wouldn't even bear thinking about it if those two have got a hold of him.
Do you reckon I should go and ask them if they have?
Well, I wouldn't say it's not worth a try, Sunshine. The Grampus and I will keep searching until we find something.
Well, goodness knows you wouldn't want to go anywhere near their breaker's yard, OJ. They've had their eye on you for ages.
That, and we'll cover more water if we split her. Now come on, Grampus.
Sunshine feared the worst as he made his way to the breaker's yard. Burke and Blair were moored up as he approached.
Excuse me?
Well, look who we have here, Mr. Burke.
Oh, the smallest of the star soldiers, Mr. Blair. And what brings you to our breaker's yard?
Has Uji finally decided to turn himself in?
Not quite.
A great pity, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Burke?
Entirely, Mr. Black. He's in decent condition next year, isn't he? Could fetch quite a generous price if he hurries up.
You two never give up on old OJ, do you? Anyway, I came to acquire about 10 cents.
Oh my, Mr. Burke, imagine the return we'd get on parts from a young tug like that.
Oh yes, Mr. Black. He's very well maintained. And I imagine would make fine parts for another working tug.
I take it from that reaction you haven't seen him, or acquired him for your collection then.
I'm afraid I have not. What about you, Mr. Burke?
Oh, I haven't seen him either, Mr. Black.
Okay then, I apologise for any inconvenience then. I would ask you if you join the search to find them, but then I know you two are liable to do if you find them first.
Well, if you were to come back and discuss prices for any old scrap you may have, you know where we are.
I'll bear that in mind.
10 Cents was still following the path from when he'd heard the foghorn. He listened intently to see if he was going in the right direction. Then he heard the sound of the tramper ahead of him.
Ahoy! Ahoy there! I'm trying to find my way back to port. Can you
Push
help?
off! I'm not paying any outrageous fees to some tug.
Well, actually I'm lost and I was wondering if you knew...
Oh, listen, laddie, I couldn't have killed this. Now push off before I make you.
You can't go into port on your own, you know. It's illegal.
Oh, I know that. You know that. He knows that. That thing over there knows that. But it's the cheapest means of getting in. And besides, what's an insignificant little wimp like you going to do with Badget anyway? Move aside.
The tramper forced his way ahead and began heading for the port limits. 10 Cents began following on his trail, trying to track him down as best he possibly could. By now, Big Mac and Billy Shoepack were on the outskirts of the forest, setting their flare for 10 cents.
And you're sure this is going to work, Shoepack?
Course it will. It's a controlled explosion, remember? And we have lovely fireworks too.
Either that or we'll have Fire Tug out here with an arrest warrant.
Right, stand well, crack and watch out. This'll be fun. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
The flare shot up into the air and lit up the night sky with a blinding flash. The tramper was startled by the light and lost his way.
Oh, what's happening? I can't see a theory, it's too bright.
Izzy saw him coming, charging through the thick fog, blinded by the flash and out of control. He was heading straight for Warrior, and a collision was imminent.
Ay caramba, warrior. Get out of the way.
Oh no! What on earth is going on?
Well done, Tommy. You saved Warrior.
And stop that tramper dead in its tracks.
Yeah, crime doesn't pay, you know.
Yeah, you're telling me. Oh.
Oh, remind me never to go out in the thick fog ever again.
Here, hold on a minute. I remember you. You're that tramper that the Coast Guard's been looking for. What are you trying to smuggle in this time?
Nothing, I swear. I'm innocent. You can tell that to the Port Authority. That is, if you don't think first.
Hey, what's all the commotion? What happened to that tramper?
10 cents. You're alright.
Yeah, I just got lost on my way back to Big City. I must have taken a wrong turn or something. That tramper seemed to know where he was headed, so I just began following him. Then that flare went off and I found you lot.
Well, Shoepack, looks like your flare idea actually worked.
In more ways than one. Once we get a crane here and get that tramper floated again, we'll take it to the proper authorities and let them deal with him. That'll teach him to come in on his own.
And for smuggling too.
Or better still, Burke and Blair made me a decent offer for any scrap metal I might find.
Excuse me, amigos. Would one of you mind at all giving me $8? I really need to unload these bananas.
Well, I'm off to fetch the crane. How about you, Top Hat?
I don't think Izzy would be towed in by a clumsy tug.
That's not funny at all. I'm I'm not a clumsy tug. I'm sleep deprived and nothing else.
But it's your clumsiness that came in useful tonight, eh?
Which is more than can be said for any of your misadventures, warrior.
Yeah, I suppose you're right there, Big Mac. But that tramper could have caused a lot of damage if you hadn't battered into him.
Yes, Top Hat, you're a real hero.
Real hero? Real hero? More like real nuisance, if you ask me.
Oh, well, I really don't know what to say. I'm quite flattered, actually. I don't suppose I represent such.
Come on, Izzy, I'll take you. Oh, after the night I've had, I could do with some company getting home.
Luckily for the tramper, the tugs took pity on him and did hand him over to Burke and Blair. However, the penalty he received was a stark reminder that crime certainly doesn't pay.
Tugs Audio Productions present Big Mac, written by Christopher.
The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is Tugs.
For as long as I knew, all of my Star Tugs were useful by how they were built. No matter how little or how large they were, each of them was still an important part of my team. Notably, my Harbour Tugs were praised for their strength, courage, and astute minds, although Big Mac Warrior and OJ had learned not to let this go to their funnels. I remember a time Big Mac thought his reputation had sunk, and it all began during the 6:30 briefing. All right, Starfleet, settle down, settle down. I've an important announcement to make. We have just been approached by the new ironworks on the north side of the harbour. They're looking for a fleet to help transport their goods from across the bay. The Z-Stacks have been given the same offer too, which means we'll be in competition with them from today.
Oh, really? Who would want them? They're far more cleaner and trustworthy than that motley crew.
It's not just about appearance, Top Hat. As you know very well, it's about strength and reliability.
That's right, OJ. Whoever delivers the goods first wins the contract. And I'm hoping that my strongest tugs will do just that. Big Mac, Warrior, I'm depending on you two to win the contract for us.
Aye, aye, sir.
We'll make sure those headstocks won't trip us up like they usually do, sir. You can rely on us.
Good, that's the determination I like to see, Big Mac. Now off you go, you two, and good luck. Now, for the rest of you. Sunshine, I'd like you to do Warrior's garbage duties while he's away.
Oh, sir, do I have to? 10 cents and me have enough work already. And besides, the rubbish is a bit nippy at this time of year.
Sorry, Sunshine, it's just for one day, and I'm sure you'll manage just fine.
Oh, cheer up, Sunshine. At least you don't have to work with the Z-Stacks today. Warrior and Big Mac would have to deal with them.
Ah, you're right there. I'm sure those two will do well.
Big Mac and Warrior were the strongest tugs in my fleet. Big Mac especially took great pride in his strength and used it wisely. He was just fueling himself with an extra supply of coal at the coaling depot when he and Warrior received some unwanted company.
Well, what do we have here, Seb? Looks like two uninvented star mobbing our way.
Nah, Zach. Looks like a pair of losers to me.
Zebedee and Zach were competing against Big Mac and Warrior for the Ironworks contract. The Z-Stacks knew how strong they were, and, unlike the Star Tugs, liked to show it off.
Here, do you mind shitting yourself, Big Mac? We've got a contract to win.
And who's to say that you two will win it? Warrior and me are twice as strong as the pair you put together. We'll win that contract fair and square.
Don't count on it. Zack and me'll have this job done first, with enough time left over to gloat.
Yeah, like with the steel contract. I don't think they've forgiven you since you rammed their steel rig into the railway bridge.
Oh, you wait.
Come on, Sam. Let's not waste any more steam. We'll all show what we're made of.
Who said starts? They'll never learn. Come on, warrior. Let's get going. I'm all fueled up and ready to... Oh!
Are you alright, Big Mac?
Aye. Probably a case of indigestion. Shouldn't have had that cold so fast. Right, let's go.
Big Mac took no ill effects as he and Warrior followed after the Z-Stacks to the steelworks. But along the way he began to feel short of breath, which wasn't like him at all. The 4 harbour tugs soon arrived at the steelworks, where the cranes were just finishing up unloading the Z-Stacks barges.
Come on, you! Hurry up! We haven't got time to muck around!
Keep your stacks on. I'll be ready when I say I'm ready.
Hey, you better be soon, matey. We want to win the contract.
Warrior and Big Mac floated over to where the barges were already waiting. Steel pipes for Warrior, and crates of machinery parts for Big Mac. They tied their tow ropes up and set off, almost at the same time as Zack and Zebedee. Big Mac usually had little trouble pulling heavy loads such as this, but today he felt himself struggling.
Oh! What's wrong? I'm not normally this weak. Oh.
Are you sure you don't need help, Big Mac? You don't half look red.
I'll manage, warrior. You go. I'll catch up.
No, thanks. I'm sticking with you. We're in this together, remember?
Zebedee and Zack began to draw level with the Star Tugs. They noticed Big Mac looking as bad as he sounded, and saw their chance to bring him down a peg or two.
Oh dear, Zebedee. Sounds like Big Mac's having a case of engine trouble.
Yeah, I've never seen him struggle this much with a barge load before.
You know what that means, don't you? He's probably past it.
Past it?
Yeah, that's what I said. You're getting on a bit, old man. Look how much smoke you're making. It's thicker than a fox of winter.
Why don't you give yourself a rest before it's too late? We don't want an old timer like you wearing himself out at his age, do we?
Here, you cut that out. Big Mac's doing just fine. Besides, he's got me to watch out for him.
Oh, that'll make him feel a lot better, won't it? Captain Star's clumsy as Chuck, looking after the oldest.
The Z-Stacks taunting and jeering rang like bells in Big Mac's mind. He had a hefty reputation to uphold, and wasn't going to let age, or whatever was slowing him down, get the better of him.
Okay, that's enough. I'm not getting old. In fact, I've never felt better. I'll give you 2, old man.
And Big Mac roared his engine, immediately gaining speed. But as he tried to go faster, the smoke through his stack began turning from light grey to thick black as his engine faltered again. Worse was to come.
Suffering stags! Watch it, Big Mac! You're sparking! Big Mac!
Warrior's warning came too late. Sparks flew from Big Mac's funnel and landed squarely on his trailing barge, which instantly caught fire.
Oh no!
Big Mac tried to stop himself from sparking, but his engine wouldn't respond. More sparks showered on his barge, and the blaze was getting out of control. As luck would have it, Sunshine was passing with Lord Stinker, and the garbage barge saw all.
Oh, I see. Is it time for the regatta again?
Regatta? Oh no, that's not a float, Stinker. It's a fire. Hold on, Big Mac. I'll go and get help.
Sunshine rushed away to find Fire Tug, whilst Warrior tried to control the blaze with his own fire hose. All the while, Big Mac struggled to control his engine, which gave the most horrendous coughing and clanging he had ever felt.
Oh no! Oh dear!
After the fire tug arrived and managed to stop the blaze from spreading, he towed Big Mac to Lucky's yard to have his engine looked over. Later that day, Warrior and Sunshine came to see him.
Hello, Big Mac. How are you feeling?
Oh, my engine feels bad. It feels like I set myself on fire too. Is everyone alright?
Ah, we're fine, man. Fire TUGS said you were pretty lucky that you stopped your engine when you could. It could have spread otherwise.
Warrior, thanks for staying by me. I appreciate it.
Nah, it's alright. That's what you do in a team after all.
But what about the contract? Did we win it?
Well, we...
don't know how to tell you this, Big Mac.
No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
Yeah, good job, lads. You finally managed to get us ahead of the game.
Hey, thanks, Soren.
Oh look, there's our old friend Big Mac. Oi, Big Mac! Thanks for allowing us win the iron contract.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it without you.
Now look, you stupid.
Hey, don't blame us. It was your own doing after all. We did zilch.
Like we said before, you're not as young as you used to be. Face the facts. You're finished. There's no room for another old timer in this harbour.
Yeah, you can't argue the truth, you know. We've got witnesses who saw all. Looks like you're not so big, Mac. Come on, boys, let's go tell Captain Zero about this.
I'll let them go, Big Mac. They're trying to wind you up, man. We know that.
Oh, leave it, Sunshine. They're right. I've never lost a contract until today. Maybe I am getting old. Otherwise, I wouldn't spot like that.
Come on, Big Mac.
Look, if it's alright, I'd just like some time alone. I've got something on my mind.
Sure thing. See you tomorrow.
Sunshine and Warrior headed back to the Star Dock, leaving Big Mac with a heavy heart full of despair. The Z-Stack's words repeated over and over in his mind, along with the flashbacks of the earlier disaster.
You know what that means, don't you? He's probably past it. You're getting on a bit, old man.
Face the facts. You're finished. There's no room for another old timer in this harbour.
Big Mac slept badly that night. If this were true, then there was obviously no further use for him. When he returned to work the next morning, following his repairs, he came to me with a startling decision. You're retiring, Big Mac. Whatever for?
It's clearly obvious why, sir. Because of my engine. I just didn't have the strength yesterday. That's how I lost the contract for us. There's no use for a weak old timer like me.
Nonsense. Big Mac, I was more concerned about you than losing the contract. You're one of the best workers in my fleet, and don't you forget it. All the same, I'll contact Lucky's and get a full report on your repairs yesterday. Now, off you go to work and take care. I'll inform you of any more news.
Aye, aye, sir.
Big Mac half-heartedly steamed back to work, wondering what the future could spell for him. Meanwhile, out at sea, Zebedee and Zack were bringing in a tramp steamer. The weather that morning was unusually breezy, and the waves were very choppy. But it took more than that to worry the gleaming Z-Stacks.
What silicon caliber Big Mac's faithfully passed at my Lucky's yards.
I know the old fool can stand a chance. If he keeps this up, we could very well be the lead of them star teams.
Excuse me. Do you mind concentrating on getting me into port? I'm not liking this weather one bit.
Oh, stop your boy. This is nothing. We Z-Stacks are made stronger stuff.
Well, unless it's concrete, you better get a move on, Z-Stacks. This wind's getting worse by the minute.
Gil, he's right. Come on, Seb, let's roll.
Struggling hard, Zebedee and Zack began towing the tramp steamer towards the safety of the harbour. But with the cross currents and high winds, it was proving very difficult to tackle.
Come on, Seb, push harder.
I am pushing. The wind's too strong.
Put your back into it. More steam, come on. Oi, watch out! Watch out!
But it was no use. The strong currents were forcing the tramp steamer off course, which surged hard into Zack. Suddenly Zack lost control. He was swept by the bow of the hulking ship and ran aground into the mud flats where he was stuck fast.
Hey, Zack, where are you?
Over here! I'm stuck!
Stuck? You can't be. You've got a ship to take in.
Well, I can't move right now, can I? You had to do it yourself.
Me?
Him?
Yo, he's right. We're already headed to Tama. There's no way we'll fall behind again.
Zebedee tried hard, but he couldn't move the tramper alone. Between the fierce winds and the rough waves, he eventually admitted defeat and had no choice but to go for help.
Right, you. Drop anchor and stay here. I'm going back to Big City and find another tug. Don't move.
I wasn't planning on moving anywhere. Just hurry up, please.
With the tramper secure for the moment, Zebedee fought his way back into the harbour to find help. To his dismay, the first tug he found when he arrived back wasn't who he'd been hoping for.
Oh no, anyone but him. Suppose I'll have to risk it. The sake of the fleet anyway.
Zebedee swallowed his pride and hurried off towards the coaling depot, where Big Mac was moored, fueling himself up with a fresh supply of coal. He wasn't entirely eager when he saw Zebedee hurrying towards him.
Hey, Big Mac! Hey, Big Mac!
Oh, it's you. If you've come to laugh, then do your worst. I don't care anymore.
No, it's not that. Zach's in trouble. We ran a ground wall trying to bring in a tramper, and I need help bringing him in.
I'll see what I can do. Lead the way then.
The two tugs hurried away back out to sea. Big Mac realized that Zebedee was telling the truth. The further out they went, the rougher the sea grew. They eventually reached the tramper, and not a moment too soon.
Gracious me, that ship's bobbing around a lot. Where's Zach?
He's still on the mud flats, but we need to get the tramper in first.
Righto then. Zebedee, you take the lead, and I'll handle the side push.
Yeah, what's he doing here? All three of you are getting out, Zebedee, not a shipwreck.
Yo, shut up, will ya? I'm desperate enough to ask for anyone.
Right. Ready, Zebedee?
I'm ready. Here goes.
Alone in the eye of the storm, Zebedee and Big Mac struggled hard to get the tramper to stop rocking, but the storm seemed to be trying to prevent them. Big Mac was determined not to give in and gave a tremendous effort.
You're not reaching me.
To Zebedee's surprise, as well as his own, Big Mac began to move the ship back on course. He didn't know how he was doing it, but he decided to keep going for hope. Fighting against the current, they battled their way against the winds on the choppy seas. After what seemed like forever, the winds finally died down and the waters began to calm.
Look, we've done it. We made it through.
Aye, we did. We definitely did.
Big Mac beamed proudly. He finally felt like his old self again and continued helping Zebedee bring in the tramper. The other tugs couldn't believe their eyes when they saw him.
I say, is that Big Mac? With Zebedee?
Yeah, it looks like it. Good on you, Big Mac. You showed him, didn't you, eh?
Oh, don't believe him. Zebedee, what's the meaning of this? Where's Zach?
Well, explain what's gonna rescue him.
Don't worry, Zebedee. I'll give you a hand. I've more than enough strength now to handle anything again.
After they docked the tramper, they went back for Zach, where Big Mac hauled him carefully off the mud flat, none the worse for his misadventure.
Oh, that's better. God, it's really uncomfortable sitting there.
Oh well, these things happen to the best of us. Not a bad day's work for the shipwreck, yeah, fellas?
Yeah, well, thank you, Big Mac. We're sorry.
Guess you're not ready for a time after all, then.
Not by a long shot, that's for sure. Besides, I couldn't stand by feeling sorry for myself while I let you two lose another cargo load. I don't think Captain Zero would be very forgiving if that happened, would he?
Zebedee and Zach said nothing. To Big Mac, it was more than enough to gain his victory. He and Zebedee helped Zach to lock his yard for repairs, and then returned triumphantly back to the Star Dock, where he was received to a hero's welcome.
Well done, Big Mac.
Aye, you still have it in you?
Yeah, you were great.
Yes, a marvellous old boy. Sorry, I didn't mean old as in old, I meant...
That's okay, Top Hat. I'm not bothered by that anymore. I guess what I needed was a little boost in my confidence. And nothing does that than hearing of a ship in distress. I don't care if I'm as old as OJ.
Hey, watch it boil.
So long as I've still got steam in my boiler, then I'll always be useful.
Truer words never spoken, Big Mac. You did a spectacular job in helping out the Z-Stacks.
Oh, thank you, sir. Like I said, I guess I needed something to boost my confidence to get my strength back.
More like a cleaner supply, I think.
What do you mean?
I received your damage report from Lucky's earlier. It turns out your performance yesterday was all down to a bad batch of coal, which affected your engine and stopped you making steam. That was why you were constantly sparking. Turns out the coal depot had a few complaints about it, and has only just received a better supply this morning.
So, does that mean, Big Mac?
I took that new coal this morning. I wondered why it wasn't as dusty as usual today.
Big Mac never worried about getting old again. Even if he did show signs of age, he knew he'd still be useful no matter what, and I was proud of him. But since that day, I made sure I always ordered a fresh supply of coal, to prevent incidents such as this ever happening again.
TUGS Audio Productions present Chimera, written by Loey Mac.
The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is TUGS.
Since the days of sail and into the age of steam, sailors have passed about myths and legends born from the sea. Once, when I was a junior midshipman on a tramp steamer west of Sumatra, we encountered a derelict freighter, which drifted between us for 2 hours before vanishing into the thick fog. And when out on the ocean alone, such encounters can take on the air of the supernatural. One time early in April, I'd sent Top Hat and Sunshine down the coast to deliver new fittings for the St. Mary's Point Lighthouse. As the seasons changed, freak storms and strange weather phenomena would suddenly spring up, and the Cardona Lighthouse had been badly damaged in one such storm, hence the unusual job. It was a hot Monday evening as the two tugs finished their delivery and began making the 3-hour journey back to Big City. The air was heavy and electric.
Well, I still don't see why Captain Star will be slipping along this coastal run. That kind of work is more suited to Hercules.
Well, Hercules was busy escorting out that new aircraft carrier for the Navy, the Park Avenue.
Well, if I could seasick Captain Star, I could expect an earful.
I'm sure he can. Anyway, what's the bother? It's perfect sailing conditions. We just have to follow the shoreline to Big City. The current's practically pushing us along as it is. And look at this ocean. It's as flat as a mill pond. Even you, if you head up there in a cloud, should see that.
All I can see from up here, my dear Sunshine, smart Alex Switcher was blissfully unaware of the storm clouds I can see building up off our seaward side.
Where did that come from? Shipment forecast was for clear weather this morning.
Yes. Seems some fool at the Met Office forgot to carry the 2 again.
I don't know. I mean, the weather reports are usually fairly accurate.
Whatever the reason, as the two tugs moved down the coast, the thunderheads on the horizon built higher and higher, and eventually overtook them.
Would you get a load of this? Oh yes, I'm singing in the rain. Just singing in the rain.
Yes, very enjoyable, I'm sure. Did you hear that?
Did I hear what?
I thought I just heard something.
Yeah, give us a second to listen, man. No, nothing.
Strange. I definitely heard it. Off to our port side.
Here, top hat. Where are we?
North of big city, where else?
No, I mean, where specifically? I can't see the shoreline in this muck. Can barely see you, in fact.
I don't know. We've still got the cover of the zone, but I can just see the full moon, so we're going the right way, I think.
Now I definitely heard that.
I was right. Off to our port. See what
Should we head towards it? If it's a ship, it would be in radio contact with the harbour, surely. We might even be able to tour into port.
Possibly. Either that or we ignore it and let the current carry us to big city.
Yeah, but in this rain, we might well miss the harbour mouth. And if we keep following the current, that might take us into the estuary and straight into Dunner Rocks.
True. I doubt we'll be able to spot Lily Lightship in this downpour. Yes, I think you're right, Sunshine. Make for that bell, but go easy just in case.
Keeping their ears peeled and within sight of each other, the two star tugs turned out of the current and made their way towards the bell, sweeping their powerful floodlights through the rain.
Stop reading.
Oh, if we got turned around in this storm for nothing, then...
Whoa! What was that?
What's what?
Summit just blocked out the mother head. Whoa, there it is. I could have sworn something passed over there.
I think your nerves are getting to you, Sunshine. Are we going to have a relapse of that King Neptune malarkey again?
Hey, you can't say much. There! It happened again. Something definitely blocked the moonlight. They're the head, man. King Neptune stirring in his undersea palace.
Don't belittle my intelligence, Sunshine. With metallic sound. Coupled with that bell, that means...
A ship!
Oh, yes, but there's no need to get that excited.
No, look, a ship!
Good Lord!
Sunshine was right. Directly ahead appeared a great metal bar, rising above them into the darkness. Slowly, the two stars approached it, eyeing the darkened hull that stretched away into the rain.
Oh, it's a ruddy ocean liner, and a big one too. Where'd that come from?
Ahoy! This is the civilian tugboat Tuggs. Is anyone aboard? Sunshine, where are you going? Come back here!
Just a moment. There's a name painted above the anchor alley. Chimera.
Chimera! Ahoy! Ocean liner Chimera! Do you read me? I'm a private tugboat off your starboard bow. She must be derelict.
Aye. Both her anchors are hanging just above the waterline. Looks like she tried to anchor herself but couldn't. Must be drifting.
Well, if that's the case, she's our salvage. I'm sure Mrs. Blair would pay a good price for her. What tonnage would you put her at?
Well, she's turned of the century. 3 funnels, about 700 feet long. I guess about 7,000 tons.
Well, that's what drew us in. Come down after, Sunshine.
Why?
I want to see if she has a port of registry painted at the stern.
You know, how the ship this size ended up drifting down the coast. And by the looks of the rust, She's been adrift for up to 15, 20 years.
It is strange. What the?
Her engines are starting up. You hear that?
Yes. It's coming round her stern.
What the?
Oh, that can't be done! Oh, it's huge.
Oh, Star Tugs.
Well, if it isn't Zebedee and Zip.
Hi, Sunshine. What brings you two out here?
More to the point, what brings you?
What's it to you, sweet child? And get away from our salvage.
Under Section 4, Sue Charlie, of the International Marine Convention in proxy of the Star Tugger Marine Company, I declare myself salver in possession of the ship Chimera, 700-foot passenger vessel found derelict in the high sea.
Very nice.
Hey, shut up, Zip. That 2-4 Charlie stuff won't fly, Top Hat. These aren't international waters.
That's as may be, but the formal declaration of intent to salvage stands.
You heard first. Finders keepers.
Salvers keepers.
What was that?
The current is pulling on the propellers and turning the engine shafts. Now stop gibbering, Zip. Now, look here, Stars. We found the ship first. Now, legal backing is all well and good, but out deep on the water, who's going to back you up?
Look, a ship this size drifting in sea lanes is a navigational hazard. Salvage right regardless. Shall we take her in tow? 4 tugs are better than 2 after all.
Yeah, I suppose so, Sunshine.
Only for 50% of the takings. A ship this size should be worth millions in scrap iron.
Nonsense. 25%.
40!
A 1/3 stake, and that's my final offer. You can either help us and take an empty sum back to your precious Captain Zero, or go back empty-pocketed.
Ah, fine, Star. Just fine. 1/3 it is.
With their differences settled for the time being, Top Hat and Zebedee began to make plans to take the Chimera in tow. Sunshine, however, could not shake a feeling of unease.
She's an old lady, that's for certain.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ship like this since the last war.
Yeah, but where's she from?
Port in Orme in Canada. It's painted on her stern.
I can look then.
Sunshine, much as I'm sure conversing with Tweedle Dum there is intelligence stimulating, you could use a hand here.
Sorry, Top Hat.
So, what do you need?
Can't send 2 lines up to her decks as there's no one up there to help. We're going to tie up to her anchors, tow her in via the contains. We need you to hold the starboard anchor steady while Zebedee ties up.
Right, sure thing.
Zip buffered up underneath the huge anchor, holding it against the Chimera's decaying hull, whilst Top Hat tied off a thick hawser.
Right, that looks secure enough. Take up the slack, Zebedee, and we'll test it. Right, that looks secure. Sunshine, once I'm tied up to the other anchor, we'll need you...
Slow there! Look out! What?
Pass on the tow line!
The old anchor chain had snapped under the strain, sending the heavy anchor crashing down onto Zip's bow, before sliding off into the water. Zebedee cast off before the weight dragged him under, but Zip was not faring as well.
Oh no! Oh no! I'm sinking! Shipping water!
You daft idiot, Zip. Why'd you hang round on an overhanging obstruction? Here, let's look at that damage.
It was bad. Zip's bow was crumpled like a discarded sardine can, and he was rapidly taking on water.
You better get him back to Big City fast.
If I could get Zip back to port, I would, but we're lost. That's how we ended up here. We were resupplying an oil tank and got turned round the stern.
Hey, Zip, hold it there for a second. I've got an idea.
I'm not exactly going anywhere.
Sunshine moored up alongside Zip and rigged up multiple lines between them before drawing them tight, using his own buoyancy to prop the other switcher up.
There, that's the worst of the damage in the water. Can your pumps bail out the rest of the flood?
Yes, I think so. Oh, thanks, Sunshine.
We'll have to stay lashed up like this, but it should get us back to Big City okay.
Hey, good thinking, Star. Thanks. Right, Top Hat, are we going to try and take this hulk in tow then, with the other anchor?
Yes, I'll secure the anchor this time. You'll have to tie yourself off.
Have you still got steam, Zip?
My boiler went out, but the pilot light's still burning. I'll have pressure up soon. Did you hear that scream?
What?
That anchor would have fallen on my head, but before it fell I heard someone scream a warning from above me, and I jolted back. Saved my neck, they did.
But anyone calling from above would have been calling from...
The Chimera.
I think you might have been imagining things, Zip. Right?
Yeah, I guess it must have been.
Right then, tied off. Ready to pull together, Star?
Yes, but gently. If we lose this anchor, we lose the entire ship. Half ahead, slow.
That's it. You've got her.
Come on, Zip, or we'll be left behind.
Trailing the dead bulk of the Chimera, Top Hat and Zebedee pulled away into the storm. Sunshine and Zip following alongside.
Alright, Star, question for you. What does Chimera mean?
A thing of immortal make. Not human, lion-fronted and a snake behind, a goat in the middle, snorting out a blend of terrible flame and light. Almost
In English?
Chimera is a monster. Top Hat groaned as filthy smoke poured from his stack, and then with a final burst of steam, his engine blew itself out. I blew back at my furnace. I got no power. There's a steam line.
Yeah, well, am I meant to control this all by myself?
Hey, what's wrong?
Lord Star Almighty has blown out his firebox and vented all his steam. He's as dead in the water as that ship.
But what could cause a blowback out here on the open ocean?
The ship. I don't know how that ship is causing this. The anchor, the blowback, those noises, maybe even this weather.
Yeah, whatever colour of smoke and sunshine. I want some too.
No. Captain Star was talking about deep ocean currents. And when they collide, they can cause freak weather, electromagnetic storms, and every kind of strange stuff imaginable. Well, with all that's happened, man, and right in the middle of all is this ship.
That's a scientific phenomenon, Sunshine, and you're lending it supernatural providence.
The Chimera, look. There's smoke coming from her stacks, as if she's making steam.
Without Top Hat's power to keep it in check, the Chimera was now drifting in the current. Zebedee released the tow line, and freed, the derelict began to turn side onto the flood. Music rising up from her as each porthole lit up with light, revealing her full size and majesty.
Is someone trying to make fools of us?
All fine signs of one and all, and a happy new year to everybody aboard the SS Chimera on this first voyage under the command of Captain Aspet. Happy 1910, everybody!
I was right. She is a ghost ship.
No. We suffered through this with the White Fleet, and I refuse to accept this is anything any different. No!
As the four tugs watched in horror, a chain of lightning bolts struck the Chimera, arcing down her funnels, her rigging, her radio masts, followed by a string of explosions, as one by one her coal bunkers ignited, blowing out windows and portholes, and sending 3 towers of flame, arcing through the funnels into the storm clouds above.
Everybody to the lifeboats! Priority goes to families with children, and married couples, and individual passengers and flying crew! All hands abandon ship!
She's calling for help.
Impossible. That ship was a derelict. We all saw it.
That's not a distress. It's a light ship, Max. Listen.
Lily! And...
Danger rocks!
With Zebedee towing Top Hat and the two switches lashed together, the four tugs drew apart, fighting against the current. The Chimera, however, burning like a funeral pyre and caught in the current, swept straight between them, lighting up the distant shoals that stood raised from the sea like angry teeth.
Oh, she's going onto the rocks.
Broken and battered, the Chimera impaled herself on the rocks, settled for a moment before her boilers failed and she was blown apart from the inside.
Well, that was quite a show.
We should alert the Coast Guard. Send out a rescue party.
Yes, the storm's breaking up now. Let's get back to Big City and report this CAC.
A rescue won't do much good. I'm telling you, that ship wasn't stealing wood.
It was a strange convoy that steamed into Big City Port that night. The four tugs, two out of action, limping home together, and babbling about a ship wrecked on Dender Rocks. The Coast Guard went out straight away to mount a rescue, and by the morning the first reports came back in, ordered the Star Pier.
No wreckage near the rocks or in the estuary, and Lily Lightship's radar reports no large ships passing nearby in the night.
Impossible! The ship has at least 17,000 tons. How can it wreck itself and not leave any trace?
The facts remain, Top Hat, that Lily only recorded you four passing in the night. Apparently you were drifting into the rocks, and she had to sound you off with her klaxon.
What were you doing fooling around near Dender Bank anyway? You can't claim you didn't see them on such a clear night.
Hey, now wait here. We had wind, rain, thunder and lightning on a trip back to Big City.
Yeah, and I got whacked with an anchor. Look at my hull.
Last night was clear with a half moon and mild swells. And frankly, I'm wondering if Zip just rammed himself into a cliff face and you're just trying to cover up his negligence with this inept story. He's fouled himself up before, after all.
Sir, what would we stars have to gain from covering up a Z-Stack's mistake?
Watch it, Sunshine, or I'll have you all charged with wasting my time and resources.
We'll all collaborate and corroborate the same story. We saw a seemingly derelict vessel wreck itself and explode on Dender Rocks. A 3-stack passenger liner under a Captain Asquith.
Can you repeat the name of that officer, Top Hat? And the vessel's name?
Captain Asquith, sir. And the ship was the Chimera.
Coast Guard, sir. I'm afraid these tugs have clearly been wasting your time. I'll gladly compensate you for your efforts, however.
Very well, Captain Star. You will hear from us about this.
With all respect, sir, Captain Zero will not be happy.
What did she look like?
Pardon, sir?
The Chimera. What did she look like? Was she still the jewel of the seas?
You mean, sir, you believe us, sir? Captain Star, sir? Sir?
Yes, Zip, I believe you. And you and Zebedee needn't worry. I'll sort out any difficulties with Captain Zero. Now, so you all understand my reaction, know this. The Chimera was my former command. She was a liner lost on New Year's Eve in 1909. She was captained at the time by a colleague of mine.
Hello. What's all this then?
About face 10 cents. Lord Stinker's waiting for you at the municipal dump.
Isn't worry doing that, sir?
Then go deliver fuel oil to Lily, harass Zoran, or park yourself at the harbour mouth and look pretty. Just go.
Aye, sir. Right away, sir. I'll go for Zoran now, sir. Yes, sir. Right, sir. Yes. Blimey. Money's getting on you. You've got to get close story.
10 cents was righter than he knew. Many years ago, I had captained the Chimera, the finest ship in these waters, until she was lost under my successor, Captain Asquith, after he and everyone aboard abandoned her in a freak storm. Whatever happened by the Chimera was never known. but I think Sunshine had the right idea. Maybe some freak confluence of the ocean currents sent the 4 tugs back to that mysterious night. But I prefer to think that instead it rose the Chimera from some watery grave for a final attempt to make safe harbor. Either way, I consider it a comfort that she isn't some desolate hulk, drifting the ocean alone with her fate unknown, but is instead now at eternal peace.
TUGS Audio Productions present Whaling, written by Ryan and Christopher.
The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is TUGS. In the height of summer, there was always something of a special attraction for Hercules. You see, his many years as an ocean-going tug had taught him a great deal about the sea, including the majority of sea creatures that live out in the wide blue ocean. And the whale migration season was something he particularly enjoyed witnessing. I remember a time when the latest whale migration nearly ended in disaster. On this day it was like any other. Hercules was escorting a ship out to sea, but was very careful of where he was tugging her.
Oh my, this isn't where we usually go. This is the right shipping link, is it not?
It is indeed, my dear, except in the summer. We have to divert all ships to the east rather than the north to avoid hitting the whales when they cruise through.
Whales, you say?
Yes, indeed. You see, it's around this time of year when the whale migration starts. Every summer, great flocks of whales come swimming from the north into warmer waters to release their young. It's truly beautiful, especially on a quiet evening. If you listen closely, you might just hear them.
I can't hear anything.
Well, they must not be passing yet. But mind how you go, though. Whales are very precious, you know. Nature and the like.
Yes, I'll keep a note of that. Goodbye, and thank you. Whales, indeed. These sucks do talk a lot of bills now and again. Ooh, was that Oh, you spinner. Right. Better watch my bearings then.
Yes, magical. Truly magical.
Hercules sailed on to pay a visit to Lily Lightship, who was receiving a fuel delivery from 10 cents.
You like your whale song, don't you, Hercules?
Nothing quite like it, Lily, my dear. Great heavens, what was that?
Whatever it was, it wasn't half loud.
It came from over there.
They looked across the bay and noticed an unfamiliar tug, drifting cautiously towards them. He was covered almost completely in rust. Black smoke poured from his stack, and his deck was smothered in a dirty grey tarpaulin. Compared to him, Lord Stinker would seem spotless.
Blimey, he looks like trouble. OJ warned me about tugs that look like him.
Down for 10 cents, I'll see to him. Ahoy there! Ahoy! You there, sir, state your business.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude like this. You see, I lost my way back from the harbour in a big storm, and I've been out for weeks at the sea. Oh, I don't know whether I'm here, there, or nowhere, from all the wrong turnings I've took. This has been the best sight I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yes? So what's your name?
Just call me Herman. Please, let me stay. Just to build up my strength and confidence. You know how it is when you're lost for miles from anywhere, not knowing where to go. Have a heart. I'm an old tug who needs some care. And possibly some decent coal available, if you know what I mean.
Go on, Hercules. He seems harmless enough. The poor thing needs help.
Maybe we ought to take him to Captain Star.
Well, fair enough. I'll tell you what. How about you stay the night at our port, and I'll take you home to your harbour tomorrow?
Oh, no, I don't want to be troubling you, sir.
No trouble at all, darling. It's what I do. I am an ocean-going tug, after all.
Really? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Bless your wee souls, thank you.
Ah, well, Lily, duty calls. All right, 10 cents. Let's take our new friend here to a comfortable mooring for the night.
After 10 cents and Hercules told me about Herman, I agreed to take him in for the night. They found him a secluded mooring, and after a fresh supply of coal, our guest began to feel more at home, and was soon making good gossip with the Star tugs.
How long have you been lost then? I hear rumours that ships end up there for days.
My days. Sometimes weeks. Months even. For me, though, it's been years. That storm left me in a right muddle. I'm only too glad to have found civilization at last.
Well, don't worry anymore. Hercules knows all about the ocean. He'll see to it that you'll get home safe and sound.
Yes, speaking of which, where was it you were trying to get to, old man?
I can't say exactly. It's hard to remember in my old age. It's been so long, you understand.
There's no use at all now, is there? What's the point in trying to remember where home is if you can't...
Stow it, Top Hat. I'm sorry, Herman. It's always like that. Maybe you'll remember after a good night's rest, eh?
Oh, yes. That would be lovely. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
Right, we'll need to start early tomorrow morning, after the briefing. Perhaps if we went along some of the coasts I know of, they might trigger a few memories for you, but we'd better mind the whale migration on the way.
Whales? Did you say whales?
Of course. We'll need to take a slight detour around them to avoid accidents. It's what occurs at this time of year, you understand.
When do these, whales, normally pass by?
It varies at times. Sometimes it's a few, sometimes in larger groups. I'm quite pleased to hear from another eager whale watcher like yourself.
Yes, a whale watcher. That's me. Love the blessed little things I do.
Jolly good. Well, good night.
Good night, Herman. Pleasant dreams.
The Star tugs went back to the dock, but 10 cents and Sunshine stayed a little longer with Herman.
Oh, you two are so kind. So kind. I haven't had such proper company in years. You know, being out there alone, it'd drive anyone mad.
Glad to see you've kept your funnel on right then. Oh, I reckon you and Hercules make nice company for each other tomorrow.
Yes, that ocean-going tug with the whales. The whales. Hey, you two trust me, don't you?
Well, of course we do.
And you'll support me with whatever I want, right?
Sure. Well, why?
Well, I didn't want to say this in case I made a bad impression, but... Well, you two seem to be trusting enough. You see, I was lost in the storm, but that's not why I was traveling the seven seas. It's because of that whale.
What whale?
What whale? Why, the one that cost me my job, my life. That horrific beast ruined me. It all started back at my old home, when I was sent to bring in a ship for an important and vital contract. It was all going smoothly, tickety-boo. And then, out of nowhere, it came. That huge black shape shot out of nowhere and sent a massive wave surging against me. I lost control. I couldn't stop her. The poor ship hit the rocks and overturned. We lost the contract. I was blamed. I tried to tell them it was that whale, but they didn't believe me. They thought I took a wrong turning, but I didn't. I tell you. My reputation was in tatters, and it was all that whale's fault. For 15 years, I've been searching for that whale. Scouring the seas, listening for that particular sound. The sound I heard just before the accident. I swear to God, if I do find that beast, I'll kill it. Kill it with no mercy.
Kill it? But that's whaling, Herman. It's against the law to do that.
Maybe for you, but I've got a purpose. And when I do find that beast, I'll be sure to put this to good use.
Oh, heck, a harpoon gun.
Well, what did you think I had beneath this tarpaulin? Had it specially fitted whilst I was out in Mongolia. And with the help of your Hercules, I'm sure to come across that old foe of mine and put an end to him once
Right. Well, it's late, Herman, and we've got to be up early too.
Good night, lads. Thanks again for the chat. I've been dying to tell someone about this without feeling uncomfortable. You've made an old tug proud.
Why, 10 cents. He really has lost it.
You're not wrong there. And he seemed like such a nice tug, too.
Well, what will we do?
I'm not sure. We'd better warn Hercules before he sets out tomorrow, otherwise I dread to think what'll happen.
10 Cents and Sunshine hurried back into the dock with their important warning for Hercules. By now he was fast asleep, but they knew they had to tell him urgently.
Hercules! Hercules, wake up! We need to tell you something!
What seems to be the trouble, old darling?
It's Herman! He's mad! He's got a harpoon, and he's been on the hunt for a whale!
Don't talk rot, 10 cents. I thought better of you than to spread silly stories like that. Granted, poor Herman does seem a little odd, but there's no reason to speak ill of him in such a way.
But it's true, though, Hercules. You've got to believe us.
Nonsense. Now be quiet and go to sleep. I'll hear no more of this.
Oh, very well, Hercules. What are we going to do now?
Early next morning, Hercules moved out to meet Herman and escort him to sea in a bid to find out where home was. The two switchers were still wary of what could happen to him, and they knew they had to turn to OJ for help.
OJ, that tug you ventured into the harbour last night, Herman, he has a harpoon, and we think he's going to use it on a whale.
Slow down. How do you know about this, then? Are you sure he wasn't just having a joke with you?
He told us all about it last night. He lost everything because of a whale 15 years ago, and now he's trying to hunt it down and get revenge.
And with the whale settling just off the coast.
Have you told Hercules this?
Oh, we tried last night, but he wouldn't listen.
Suddenly, to the tug's surprise, Zoran bustled up towards them, followed by the Coast Guard.
There they are, officer. They're the ones that brought him into the harbour. I saw him.
What's going on now?
We have reason to believe you brought a wanted criminal into the big city last night, 10 cents. Herman the Whale Hunter.
Oh no, it's getting worse. We never knew he was a whale hunter till last night, sir, honest.
Likely story. Eh? I saw him yesterday, officer. Nearly knocked me off course, drifting across busy shipping lines as I passed. Then I spotted him last night talking to those switchers. Not like you star tugs to be harbouring fugitives, is it?
We didn't know he was a fugitive. We would have brought him in straight to the authorities had we known.
We've been in pursuit of that tug for some time now. He's been forced from every port he's been to for potential whale hunting. Do you have any knowledge of his current whereabouts?
Hercules is escorting him out to sea. He promised to help him home. And no doubt he will try and persuade him to take him the way of the whale migration.
It's imperative that this tug is stopped in due course. You'll need to stop Hercules and get him to bring Herman back here for questioning.
I know, I think I know how we can stop him. We'll need to work fast. 10 cents, go and find Grampus. Sunshine and I will meet you at the harbour mouth. We'll explain everything there.
And what about me? Don't I get some sort of reward for my part?
We'll talk about this later, Zoran. You've done enough for now. Off to work with you. OJ, I'll inform the harbour master straight away.
The tugs hurried off in different directions to prepare their rescue plan. At the harbour mouth, OJ, 10 Cents and Sunshine had gathered together with Grampus and quickly explained to the midget submarine about the situation.
Blimey, he has got a screw loose, hasn't he? So, what's it you want me to do?
Well, the plan is simple, but needs careful timing from you, Grampus. Now go out there until you catch up to them. Then dive down beneath the surface to try and lure Herman towards these cliffs. To him you would appear to look like a whale. Now 10 Cents, Sunshine and I will be waiting behind them to ambush him and bring him back, with any luck, basefully.
Oh, well, I'll try, but what if he tries to shoot me?
That's something I hope won't happen, just as long as you're extra careful. Good luck, boyo.
Take care, Grampus.
You will be okay, won't he, OJ?
I surely hope so. But let's try and concentrate on grabbing Herman if he does manage to get his attention. Come on, you two.
We should be there in another 20 minutes if we keep this pace up. You're all right back there, Herman?
Yes, absolutely fine. Did you hear that?
Indeed I did, old darling. We must be getting close to the whales, but we'd better mind our distance when we...
Yes. Come on, let's go already. It'll all be over soon. Oh, very soon. Look, down there.
My word, looks like one of the whales must have gone off course.
Oh, foolish thing. You're mine now.
What are you doing? You're going the wrong way. This is the way.
I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way, the way the whale's going.
Oh, come on now. There'll be plenty more when we pass them.
No. This is the whale I'm after. This one, not any of those. I've waited 15 years for this.
Hercules was left astounded as Herman hurried after the dark shape deep in the water, poising his hidden harpoon and ready to strike. But neither of them knew, of course, that the whale was actually Grampus, who kept darting and swerving beneath the waves to avoid Herman shooting him.
Stay still, why don't you? Look, have you lost your mind? Lost it? No, not my mind. Just my life. This whale's been free for far too long, and I'm putting an end to its miserable life. Now get out of my way.
Crazed with willpower, Herman pushed Hercules out of the way, disturbing his tarpaulin as he did so. By the time Hercules had gathered his awareness, Herman was already far off, in hot pursuit after Grampus, but not before showing off his harpoon gun.
Great Neptune! 10 Cents and Sunshine were telling the truth. I've got to stop him.
Hope Grampus is all right.
Quiet, lads. I think I can hear him.
Oh, here he comes. Better get ready.
Now I've got you. You. What are you?
Grab him!
Let go of me! Let go of me! They're mine! I've almost got them.
My word, what are you?
Hercules! Mind the harpoon!
Good grief! He tried to shoot me!
No. I thought you was a whale. You were leading me to...
I know exactly where we're leading you. To the authorities. Give us a hand, Hercules. I'll explain everything back home.
But there's only harpoon lost. Herman had no choice but to admit defeat. With the Star Tugs and Grampus keeping him close in check, they soon had the old tug in custody, where the Coast Guard thanked them greatly for their help.
I couldn't think what we would have done without your teamwork and bravery. Herman's admitted to all of his crimes of whaling, and we'll be sure to take him somewhere for him to recover.
I certainly hope so. I feel like such a fool. I nearly signed a death warrant to those dear whales.
Don't feel bad about yourself, Hercules. He had it all fooled. Hadn't me and Sunshine encouraged him to reveal his true self?
He wasn't totally bad, mind. Just wrong in the head. I suppose it'll take a long time to sort himself out.
Well, the important thing is we caught him with little harm done. Well done, all of you.
What about me, eh? Eh? I was the one who found him and all. You promised me a reward.
I did not, you crook. All you'll get is the same as everyone else. A special and grateful thank you. Nothing more.
Oh, cheer up, Zoran. It feels better staying on the right side of the law, doesn't it?
Oh, shut up.
Despite the events that endured that day, everything quickly blew over and returned to normal. Needless to say, everyone felt a little wiser about trusting unfamiliar boats in future. As for Herman, who knows? He wasn't seen or heard from since his capture, and, for the whale's sake, I think it was probably for the better.
TUGS Audio Productions present Mutiny, written by Ryan and Christopher.
The tugboat, for its size, is the most powerful craft afloat. And the Star Tugs are the power behind the docks and waterways that make up the big city port. This is TUGS. Of all the tugs in Big City Port, none of them carried quite the reputation that Zoran carried. He was very well known throughout the port for being devious, cunning, intelligent, and fiercely determined, qualities which Captain Zero heartily embraced. However, there were times when his ambition would get the better of him, such as the time he and the other Z-Stacks were carrying out an important contract for an associate of Captain Zero. Intent upon getting it done right, Zoran was doing his worn-out engine more harm than good.
Captain Zero's gonna go crazy when he finds out about this, Zoran. He's told you to get this checked out. This contract's way too important to him for it to be fouled up.
Exactly. That's why I didn't get it checked out. Knowing Lucky, he'd be too keen to do a complete strip down and practically overhaul the thing.
What's wrong with that? They should be fit for work.
And leave you lot to coordinate the whole thing? Don't be daft, Zebedee. Captain Zero knows the fleet can't manage without me.
Well done, Zoran. Burned high and dry in the middle of the harbour with a bad flood of timber, spluttering and smoking like nobody's business.
He's looking bad, sir.
Maybe it's time you had proper maintenance done before he stops altogether.
Which is exactly what I kept telling him. Bear in mind, Zoran, we have a very vital contract to fill in this month. Your engine problems and stubbornness aren't doing us any favours either, and he's not going to wait much longer. Now either we fill it before the full moon, or he'll cancel our payment, understand?
Yes, sir. In all fairness, sir, can you really see any of these morons being able to take over from me?
In your current state, Zoran, they're going to have to. If you don't get repaired soon, then you're out anyway.
Right, Zoran, you're in no state.
Fine, I'll go to Lucky's and have the engine looked over. Then maybe we can focus on the contract.
I'll call on Lucky's and get them to work on your repairs. Zebedee, once you've told him there, call the other three together and tell them there's an emergency meeting to discuss the contract.
Yeah, he's all heart, Zero.
Yeah, I should be so lucky.
But Captain Zero had other plans for the ungrateful Zoran, and was curious to see how right his previous statement had been.
Now then, in light of the current circumstances, Zack will take charge of the contract and leadership of the fleet.
Cool. No problem, Captain Zero. You can rely on me. I'll keep our ship on course.
Just remember, Zack, if you screw this one up, I'll make sure you join Zoran in dry dock. This contract's far too important to be mixed up, understand?
Perfectly, sir. Perfectly. Oh, yes. It's been a long time coming. My chance has finally come.
But in spite of Zack's confidence, Zoran was quietly assured that his fleet would surely flounder without him.
Zero's going to regret this, I just know he will. No one can whip that lot into shape better than I can, and he knows it. They'll just scuttle that contract.
When the overhaul was completed 2 weeks later, Zoran was only too pleased to return to work, and gloated what he assumed would be a disaster waiting for him at the Zero dock.
Right, don't fret. Zoran is back to sort out whatever damage this bunch of idiots has done to the contract, sir. Where do I start?
Everything's gone through according to schedule, Zoran. Early as well, I might add. Thankfully had no engine failures to hold us up. Have we, Zack?
Nah, sir. Everything's been honky-dory.
I was expecting to come back to a fully blown disaster.
No, Zoran. Zack's exemplary leadership and coordination of the contract duties has guided us through your absence. That's why he's in charge now.
What? Yeah, Captain Zero made a few changes while you were gone. He thinks I'm the more capable leader.
Yes, we all voted for him to take over, Zoran.
What?
Makes sense to us. We gained a few more contracts under Zack, and we did more than you in charge. Well, you see.
You creep! You're not suggesting replacing me, are you?
Well, technically, we have, Zoran.
Oh, great. So this is a mutiny? And after all I've done for you miserable lot too.
Huh? Like what, did I ask? Who was it that tried blaming Sunshine with the Duchess, thinking he wasn't seen? Who was it that tried trapping the stars upriver without reckoning Loey's shoe back in his dynamite? And who was it that tried to nab a tamper that wasn't cleared of quarantine? Face back, Zoran. Things change. Tugs change. And what this fleet needs is a responsible leader.
Zoran had no choice but to admit defeat. The vote was unanimous. Zack had taken over, a chance he had dreamed of. Zoran felt sorely cheated and furious with both his fleet and Captain Zero.
Just back down, Zoran. We're all answering to Zack now.
This isn't over, Zack. Not by a long shot.
You keep telling yourself that, son. Far as I'm concerned, it is.
From there on in, the atmosphere changed completely for the Z-Stacks. They became more ruthless, organized and devious with Zack leading them. Zoran became isolated and dismissive of the rest of his fleet, ashamed at how they had pushed him from his once proud position and reduced him to a depressed and deflated shadow of his former self. it became so bad that even my star tugs grew concerned for him.
Everything alright, Zoran?
Never thought I'd find myself inclined to joining up with you lot, but it'd be a much better option than working for Zack.
Quite honestly, I never thought I'd hear him say that. I don't like it, OJ. I've never known Zoran to behave like this. It's like he's a completely different type.
Now you make a fair point, Vincent, but you don't worry about these sorts of things now. We have our own work to get on with.
If you ask me, OJ, I reckon we should worry. Ever since Zack's moved in, he's been gaining more work than we have. Perhaps they're not so incompetent after all.
However, Zoran wasn't the only Zero Tug feeling the pressures of working for Zack.
Well, on the plus side, at least Zoran's not yelling at us anymore.
He's just very well and good, Zip. But now we have Zack screaming at us instead. Zoran was never this hard on us.
Yeah, but why didn't you say something then?
Well, I was actually waiting for you to say something.
But I did say something. I said, technically, we have replaced you.
Stupid! I meant to help Zoran, you dunderhead. It's too late for all that. And it's all your fault.
How can it be my fault when I...
Oi, if I told you once, I told you 100 times. Stop gossiping. Shred your duty. Nah, move it!
Yes, Zack. Sorry, Zack. Sir.
Oh, the nerve of that slime ball. He only thinks he's won. He'd better watch his stern. All I need is the right time to grab him. Just one chance.
Another month passed and things still hadn't changed. That is, of course, until one particular evening when Captain Zero called for another meeting at the Z-Stack dock.
Needless to say, I'm pleased with you all for once. You've all put in some impressive work the past few months. Good on you.
Thank you, sir. And can I say, sir, we had never gotten this far without your guidance and superiority in our well-being, creep.
Yes, well, thank you, Zack. I'm pleased to see you made an effort at least. And I think I can trust you on another important job tonight.
Oh, of course.
Well, listen up and listen good. Remember that contract we filled in a month ago? So it seems my customer is having a quiet chat with the port authorities about his supplies, so he needs to keep them safe until the matter is straightened. I want you to take his goods from one of his warehouses to the old docks. We've arranged for a ship to meet you there around 11:45 tonight to ship the gear. This is going to be an all-nighter, Tugs, and big bucks if we pull it off. So be aware and stay organized. Understood?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good. Remember, this is vital goods, high stakes, so be careful. Now get some shut-eyes. You've got a big night ahead of you.
As you wish, sir. Right, you heard him. To your berths. We got word to prepare for.
On that command, the Z-Stacks cruised to their docks. However, sleep was the last thing on Zoran's mind. He knew Zero had been in this position before, and with Zack in charge, his mind began formulating a plan. Something he hadn't had the chance to do in weeks and weeks.
Another contract for Zero, is it? Yeah. I wonder if... maybe... Yes! That'll show him. Better keep quiet about it, mind.
At the exact hour, the Z-Stacks quietly set off into the dark night and gathered outside the warehouse, where Zack briefed them on what would need to be done.
Alright, listen. Zero told me the ship is waiting across the harbour, near where the old docks used to be. There's cranes waiting to take the crates and load them on board. Once your barges are empty, you beat it. Got it?
Got it, Zack, sir.
Quietly, you twit! Quietly!
Sorry. Got it, Zack, sir. Sir.
Right then, we'll move our in intervals. We'll all have to take different routes so as to throw any witnesses on the scent. It's imperative that no one sees it tonight. Zeb, you're up first, then it's you two, and then Zoran. I'll follow behind with the last of it and make sure everything's gone to plan.
In spite of being made to go last, Zoran knew enough dirty tricks to wipe the smirk from Zack's face, and was determined to use them to all his advantage. One by one, the Z-stacks slipped through the harbour with little difficulty, each moving off at intervals and taking different paths so as not to arouse suspicion. Zoran took a shortcut and then slipped away to hide and wait for Zack to approach.
Morons! Someone couldn't have pulled off a job like this.
Yeah, Zack, keep telling yourself that. We'll soon see how you handle it when I throw a spanner in the works. Zack, quick! Hide the barge as fast as you can. The Coast Guard spotted Zip and Zebedee slipping through the canal with their barges, and he's beginning to ask questions.
Oh, cobblers! Right, come on, someone. We're going to find this thing somewhere out of sight before we're spotted too. Go back to Captain Zero. I'm minding us not until the heat's off.
No problem. He knows as well as we do that we can't risk this stuff getting discovered. And he'll know who to blame if something goes wrong.
What do you mean you haven't managed to get it there yet?
Don't worry, sir. I've headed it, sir. We're just waiting it out until such times as we can proceed again with your orders. I've exchanged with another one, so as I thought the authorities of descent, so that there's less chance of it being discovered too.
If the World Authorities get a hold of it, they'll track it right down to us. And if I'm blamed, then I'm holding you personally responsible, Zack. You have 2 hours to get it shifted one way or another. It's up to you not to get caught with doing it. Now get back out there and shift that barge or else!
Or else what?
Oh, trust me. You don't want to know.
Right then, Soren, come on. You can keep watch for me.
Zoran and Zack slipped back out into the harbour. However, by the time they got back to the dock where the barge was supposed to be moored up, it had vanished.
It's gone! Someone's gone and shifted the barge!
Evening, lads. Never expected you two to be working tonight.
We're busy, Star. What do you want?
He's bringing me back here to tie up for the night. You got a problem with that?
Yeah, Mighty Mo's been kept a bit busy today. Think he could do with some rest, you know? Ah, seems like OJ shifted the last of the barges to the building site then.
Building site?
Yeah, all the barges were prepared earlier. Only thing is, we didn't have enough time to collect them all. OJ agreed to move them once work had finished.
Which way did he go?
I'm not entirely sure, I never saw him. Most likely he's gone up through the old warehouses. It's the quickest way to the site.
Right then, dummy, come on, after him.
Yeah, what's going on, Zoran? You alright?
No time to explain. All OJ needs to know is he's taken the wrong barge.
The two immediately gave chase, trying to catch up with OJ, but the old tug was nowhere to be seen.
No, blimey, what are we gonna do? She will go mad if anyone else was on that barge.
Just remember, Zack, we wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't gone shifting barges.
Yeah, not just you.
Just shut up and listen for him. He's got the most distinctive engine sounds in the whole harbour. Right, he's close by. By the look of things, so is that building site. You go one way, I'll go the other. One of us ought to head him off somewhere.
Zack hurried down the chosen inlet, while Soren sped on and desperately tried to intercept OJ before his unsavoury load was discovered, only to find he was nearly too late.
That's odd. Now I'm just an old crane, but none of those others were under tarpaulins.
Oh, cripes, we're too late. They're gonna open up and we'll be rumbled.
Not if I've got anything to do with it, you won't. Oi, OJ, stop!
Soren, what on earth are you doing here?
There's been a slight mix-up. You've taken the wrong barge, that one's ours.
Whatever do you mean? I've been shifting barges from there since dusk. This one's been waiting to be shifted all day.
Yeah, I got caught away in the middle of delivering that particular barge and must have left it your one by mistake. Sure, everything's accounted for. Oh, boy, were our faces when we put in the wrong one. Hey, Soren?
Yeah, couldn't quite believe it, really. Whatever would Captain Zero say?
I thought it was odd when they'd covered the machinery up with the tarpaulins on them. I should have realised.
Well, you weren't really to know, OJ. Zack was stupid enough to leave his barge there, so it's his fault, really.
I will just move my barge over there for the cranes to unload it, and I'll let you take this one. I apologise once again for the mix-up.
No need to apologise, OJ. I think you might have just done me a favour.
Right, I'll get this over to the tramper and then escort him out. Go on, tell.
Oh, don't worry, Zack. I'll tell Captain Zero all right.
Captain Zero was seemingly relieved and pleased with both Zoran and Zack for the retrieval of the barge. However, the following morning, when the full story came to light, he was less than impressed.
Captain Star was pleased to have his barge returned to him safe and sound.
Oh, yes,
This was meant to be a foolproof operation, Zack, and thanks to your ineptitude, the whole thing could have been scuttled. That is, if it wasn't for Zoran's quick thinking and skillful work.
Well, thank you, sir.
It seems that I have misjudged you, Zoran. And it seems you're not the only one.
Sorry, Captain, sir. I won't happen again, sir.
You're too right at once, Zack. If it hadn't been for Zoran, the whole thing would have gone down the tubes. You can't expect me to trust you with work as important as this in future, can you?
No, sir, I suppose not.
That's right. Zoran, I'm handing the reins of capable leadership back to you. You proved yourself in a big way last night. Now there's plenty of work to be done.
You heard the captain. Get out there and get cracking.
No place for democracy in this flames.
You better believe it. Now move!
Zoran set off hurriedly out into the harbour, making it plain for all to see that he had regained his position as leader again.
Yeah, looks like Zoran's abandoned any aspirations of joining up with the Star Tugs, OJ.
I wouldn't be too short and sensible. I get the feeling that we unwittingly joined up with him last night.
How do you mean?
In spite of everything deep down, it was the same old Zoran, and it looks like even Zack wasn't immune from his scheming and plotting.
You mean he wanted you to move that barge?
I'm sure he's grateful in his own way for my efforts. Anyway, everyone, let's get back to work.
It was never said as such, but then again, it didn't have to be. The broad smirk on Zoran's face as he passed by told OJ everything he needed to know. And his actions the night before had made Zack equally sure. There could only ever be one true leader of the Z-Stacks, and it would take a lot more than he had to top them.
TUGS Audio Productions presents Stormbringer, a feature-length TUGS audio special. Story by VJ Hedgehog, written by VJ Hedgehog and Loey Machan, with additional dialogue by Ryan.
Leave my past, leave my home, and I'll find my way to the great unknown. Like the shore finds the ocean, like the night finds the day, I'll find an answer to these questions far away, far away. Break these chains, unlock this door, and I'll change my name. It's time I've got to go, heading over the water, heading over the waves, another shore to discover far away. find an answer to these questions far away, far away, far away.
My star tugs had been recruited one at a time over many years, and each had their own personal history that I could cite like a textbook. 10 cents I bid for in an auction. OJ I inherited from another tugboat company. Top Hat was purchased from a railway and brought round the coast from New England. Each had their own stories to tell, and none came from the same background. And yet, one tug's past had long escaped me. Hercules. My ocean-going tug Hercules was ex-Navy, and had given much loyal service. He was an authority that many of the harbour's boats looked up to, my switchers especially. It was perhaps this pedestal that the other tugs had him up on that hid the real tug behind this regal mask. But one summer we learned that Hercules had his fair share of enemies, and learning the secret of his past life led to one of the longest days we would ever face as a fleet. It all started one hot Saturday morning after Hercules had escorted the Duchess out to sea.
Well, that's another lovely out on her way again. Tell you what, Hercules, old boy, you're not as young as you used to be, eh?
Lately, Hercules had been acting strangely, forgetting things that I wouldn't normally have expected him of all my dogs to forget. Old OJ, maybe, but Hercules, that idea didn't hold much water. I hadn't been too concerned, though, as it was often the case that he had Lily on his mind. But this time, as I would learn, things were different.
Those infernal nightmares again. What is it now? September 17th? 9 years to the day? Why am I still thinking about it? I took responsibility, and took the fall. Well, it's never really had a chance to settle properly, has it, old boy?
Good morning, Hercules!
What? Oh, 10 cents, sunshine. Oh, good morning, my dears.
Are you okay, Hercules?
I'm fine, sunshine. Thank you for asking, though.
Captain Starr says there's another job for you. It's a naval contract to pick up a couple of resupply ships.
Etna and Vesuvius, no doubt. Well, a fine day for catching up with some of the old crowd.
Yeah, there's just one catch, though.
Yeah, Captain Starr said you'd be, under supervision, like.
Blue nose. Perfect. Captain Starr can really pick them. Tell me, he assured you, that officious lunatic wouldn't be present for the entire job. Wonderful.
Can't say I blame you too much for that reaction.
10 cents. When you spend more than a few years being steeped, rolled, and molded in the naval mentality, you learn to dislike certain people remarkably fast.
Suppose that's where your tolerance of Top Hat ends, isn't it? You know, officious, self-important, full of himself, moronic, dare I say.
You know, now that you mention it, 10 cents, that is probably the reason I can't stand him that much. No wonder he gets along with Blue Nose best of us all.
Hercules' demeanour struck Sunshine as being off throughout the conversation. He seemed evasive and was avoiding eye contact. Something was wrong. But Sunshine decided that if he was going to talk to Hercules about it, he'd do so in a moment of discretion.
You say you're alright, but I can't help but feel you're not Hercules.
I've got to watch myself around you switchers. Swear you pick up things a lot faster than the others do. So, what's Captain Starr got you two doing today?
Heading out the same way as you, actually. We're shadowing the Coast Guard while he inspects the ships in the estuary, bringing in any who please for passage.
Lovely work for a lovely day, my dears.
Aye, and boring as all heck, eh?
Oh, you get used to it in time.
Do you ever have to do it?
Not much with my draft. Not built for that kind of work, you see. Once or twice at the most. But You do learn things, though.
Oh, I like how fast Pete drives.
Now, be nice to the Coast Guard, 10 cents. Not everything around here can be done quickly and easily. Off with you. The both of you.
You know, fun some days, Hercules. But whatever's bothering you has got me worried.
Hercules watched the two switchers leave with some envy. Normally, the prospect of a good contract's worth of work and a rest above the coal depot would have set him up for the day. But the prospect of dealing with Blue Nose, coupled with his own ill mood, weighed heavily on him as he steamed out into the blue water.
Captain Starr, if there was ever a time I thought I'd ever be angry enough to cause you serious harm, this is it.
It wasn't just Hercules' sudden loss of short-term memory that had me concerned. Lately it was his temper as well. Normally he was as open and tolerant as old O.J., but as that hot summer had rolled on through August and into September, he begun losing it all the more often, and always on little things. Little annoyances that would usually cause no harm. I had decided that when he returned to the Starlock, I'd have a heart-to-heart with him. But that chance would not come until too late. The Coast Guard, 10 cents, and Sunshine were out in the estuary. While the cutter inspected ships looking for clearance to enter the harbour, the switchers kept a respectful distance. It was tedious work that even I disliked putting tugs on, but it was one of those jobs that had to be done, unless you wanted to get caught out and miss a prospective tow. It was at this point that a newcomer arrived in Big City, an ocean tug. The first reaction the Coast Guard had was surprise. The arrival bore no identifying colours, no flag, no pennant, no sigils on his stack, nothing that linked him to a tug fleet or operator, civilian or naval, but his papers suggested otherwise. As long as Hercules from stem to stern, and painted in maroon and black that had been sloppily applied over naval grey, there was something about him that said trouble.
Your name, sir?
Typhoon. NVR Victor Juliet 19018.
NVR?
Naval Vessel Register. He's Navy, or ex-Navy.
Says you served in the Navy.
Yes. And?
Dishonourable discharge?
Ah, that. Well, me and my superior both got given the bum's rush, as you might say, after a bit of a mishap. Though I don't know if you'd want to hear the full story with all this work you have to do.
Well, I can't grant you clearance based on that.
I've got all day, old man. Whatever floats you, I guess.
Yes. You'll be waiting a long time. 10 cents, Sunshine, follow me. We have other ships worthy of a speedier entrance.
Obstinate jackass.
I didn't want to say anything back there, you two, but I've heard of him. I'm not too enthralled to see him here, actually.
Who is he, anyway?
Typhoon, former commander of the 12th Division.
What?
Yes, that 12th Division. Now you see my point in not clearing him immediately.
Would someone want to elaborate for us? I'm not from the big old harbour, you know.
Well, it happened about 9 years ago. I wasn't here at the time either, but OJ told me about you. It was back at the end of the war, 1918. The Navy were running live torpedo tests off the coast here, and the 12th Flotilla were brought down from St. David's to support the fleet. There was a lot of controversy about it, but eventually the harbour master agreed to the test taking place. It was meant to be a controlled operation, everything completely sound and airtight. Only somehow, fully loaded cruiser CA-20 San Marcos got into the danger zone, straight into the path of 3 live torpedoes.
CQD, SOS! Mayday, Mayday, Mayday! This is USS San Marcos. We are settling by the bows and listing 10 degrees to starboard. 830 souls aboard. We are shipping water and require immediate assistance. Our position is 0.5 miles due east of Tulloch's Cove, 5 miles east-southeast of Big City.
The older residents of Big City Port don't talk about the incident a lot. It blackmarked the port as a naval disaster zone, and a lot of businesses went bankrupt as a result. The Starfleet survived only through localized contracts, so I heard, back when your captain's father was still in charge. The Z-Stack survived through, dishonest means. Nothing appears to have changed there, then.
How many died?
I don't know any answers to that.
Mayday, 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 San Marcos! It's CQD, old man! Come quick! Danger! The captain is dead! The first officer has given the order to abandon ship, but most of the crew are trapped below decks! Mayday, mayday, mayday! We're listing 10, 13 degrees. I repeat, this is USS San Marcos sinking in extreme distress. Please send help! Some 813 souls aboard! Mayday, mayday, mayday! This is 10, 12 degrees, 14, 15, 16 degrees! She's capsizing! She's going over! Oh God!
Like the Lusitania all over again.
It was too late to warn anyone, and as a result, those people died never knowing what hit them. The Navy decided to lay fault on the 12th Division, since there was no other commanding officer or command post available at the time. As terrible as the whole event was, I can't help but wonder what this ocean tug is doing here.
He's got no business being here, right?
Exactly. I don't like jumping to the wrong conclusions, but his being here screams trouble. But I can't hold him here based on the grounds of this incident, as it's no longer fresh. So he'll get clearance when we finish the rest of the rounds.
Do you want 10 cents a night to keep an eye on him, sir?
Would you both? I'm confined out here for the rest of the day. That would be a godsend.
No worries, Coast Guard. We'll keep check on him.
Be sure to keep your distance, mind. Typhoon may be many things, but I doubt he's a fool.
10 Cents and Sunshine had no idea what sort of mess they were getting themselves into. Meanwhile, the other Star Tugs were at the Stardock, discussing some of the incidents they'd had with Hercules over the last few days.
I couldn't quite believe his reaction. I thought he was going to bite my wheelhouse. And it's not like I've dropped a total by accident before. I asked.
Calm down, boy. What's the valve going on like that?
But Chophat's right, OJ. Hercules hasn't been acting like himself lately.
Can't I say I've noticed anything remotely different myself? I mean, we all have our off days. It's just one of those things, you know.
The way he reacted yesterday was not just an off day, Big Mac.
Any day with you, Top Hat, is an off day, in my opinion.
Why?
All right. No more back-chatting. Is there anything else I should bring up with Hercules whilst we're on the subject?
Oh, yes, sir. When he is finally going to admit to marrying Lily.
Oh, gee. Really?
I believe 10 cents of sunshine saying that. You
Can't fault an old tug for trying, can you?
Oh, OJ, to think you of all people.
I'm sorry, Captain.
Anyone else? Seriously, please.
Well, when we were shifting those barges from the logging company to here, he made an offhand remark that didn't sound too much like him.
What sort of remark, warrior?
Something about the 12th Division, sir. Something like, if the 12th Division hadn't been so inept, where would they be today, or something. Mentioned something about people...
I was worried. Much about Hercules' past eluded me, except for one thing I'd learned in passing from the Coast Guard. Everyone knew Hercules was ex-Navy, but the Coast Guard had told me, under strictest confidentiality, that Hercules was ex-12th Flotilla, and had been their commander when the San Marcos went down. I'd never let on to Hercules, however, that I was aware of that, because of personal experience. I had been aboard the USS San Marco when she went down, as a naval reserve. That's how I hurt my leg, forcing me to take a shore career. Despite being connected to Hercules through that incident, I had never mentioned it or asked him about it.
I've lived most of my life at St. David, sir, but I feel like I needed a change of pace. Big city seemed a good place to be at, and your reputation as an employer precedes you.
Well, Hercules, your strength and skill are evident, and your experience as a naval ocean tug stand you in good stead. I'd be delighted to hire you. Welcome to the Starfleet.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Star. I'm sorry, Captain Star.
Excellent. We took on a new tug just last week from the municipal dump. He's number 5, so this will make you our number 6.
Number 6? Well, that's appropriate.
Sorry, Hercules. Did you say something?
Nothing, sir, nothing. Just me reminiscing like the old fool I am.
That was in 1922. He seemed like a carefree drifter at the time, but now I suspect he was trying to get away from St. David's and his old base. He'd settled well in Big City and bonded as an older brother with 10 cents, they being from the same manufacturer. But as time went by, he'd become protective. Not domineering or defensive in any sense, but outwardly protective of the things he loved and cherished. Lily, his shipmates, particularly 10 cents and Sunshine, any liner or ship that gave him the time of day, even me. He'd fight all of Zero Marine one-on-one if it came down to defending Starfleet's honor and name. But that itself was a sign of how possessive he'd become, and the fact he'd made mention of the 12th Flotilla set the alarm bells ringing.
By it? I've never heard him talk that way before, sir. Something of a side of him I've never seen before, sir.
All right, back to work. If anyone sees him, send him directly here. He's to take on no other jobs until I've spoken to him.
Yes, sir.
Right away, sir.
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I remembered a word my father had once used for these types of situations. Stormbringer. He'd worked on the coastal schooners, and whenever someone had come with warnings of bad weather, he'd always paid it heed. Never ignore the Stormbringers, he would say, or it's yourself and your crew on the line. As odd as I had it at the time, I couldn't help but draw parallels now. Something was very wrong with this situation, and now I was receiving sure warnings of trouble ahead. Surefire Stormbringers. I didn't realize how right I was, and how wrong things were, until later that day.
Hello. It's Zoran, isn't it?
Who wants to know?
The name's Typhoon. Tell me, do you recall what happened 9 years ago today?
You mean the San Marcos? How could anyone forget? The biggest chance of Zero's had to make something of ourselves, gone to nothing. So many lucrative contracts went down the drain the day that ship sank, all thanks to naval incompetence.
Well, what if I told you it would put things right for old Captain Zero again? Win him back some of the credibility he's lost in the last months. I hear he's very much inclined to shady deals these days.
You watch your mouth, mister.
Give me a break, Zoran. Your fleet's reputation precedes you. Captain Zero was desperate after those contracts went under. He invested everything into catering for large ships berthing at Big City. And once the San Marcos went down, that traffic left, and his fortune sank as surely as the ship. Now things are better, I hear. The liners are coming back. Lovely. But I can offer a chance to fix things properly and get a bit of justice while you're at it. So, what do you think?
Alright. What do you have in mind?
I need to see an old friend first, but I'll be sure to round you up later, and then you'll see some fireworks. Oh, and one other thing.
Yeah?
Who are the tugs with the stars on their stacks?
What, them? That's the Starfleet. 10 Cent Sunshine, Big Mac Warrior, a clapped-out paddler called OJ, that snob Top Hat, and Hercules. If you're gonna try anything, I'd watch it if he's around.
Oh, I will. I will indeed.
Here, someone! Who's that you were talking to?
Says his name's Typhoon. Claims he knows something about the San Marcos.
Yeah, I recognise it from somewhere. Can't quite recall when or where, but I definitely recall seeing it before.
You can figure it out later, dummy. He says he's got plans that'll help us, so that's good enough for me.
10 Cents and Sunshine watched from behind a nearby lift bridge as Typhoon slunk off, eyeing him through the girders.
Oh, it looks like he's in league with the Z-Stacks. No one leaves on with a smirk like that unless it's good news.
Right, we'll follow him and see what he gets up to next.
The two switchers did their best to keep up with Typhoon and stay out of his vision. However, as Coast Guard had said, Typhoon was no fool. He'd already spotted them tailing him and knew that he could easily evade them. He waited until there was a far enough distance between them before he made his move, and as a warehouse blocked him from the switcher's vision, he turned hard against his runner, darting into the canals.
10 Cents. Where's Typhoon?
What? No. Where'd he go?
As with any ocean tug who'd worked with large ships, Typhoon was a skilled maneuverer, and for as much speed and dexterity that both the Star Switchers possessed, he could match them knot for knot and turn for turn. He ducked back into a fire-damaged building, dimmed his lights and cut his engine, watching from the shadows as the two switchers came into view.
Interesting.
10 Cents. I can't... I can't keep up.
Where is he? He can't have just vanished.
So much for being able to keep an eye on him. Huh?
Where can a 150-foot fast-tracking ocean tug go and not be conspicuous?
In Big City Port, wherever he likes.
I didn't tell Penny, Sunshine. Alright, we'll split up. I'll take the canal on the right, you take the left.
Alright, go!
So, two of them. Pals. One's more harbour-wise, the other's not exactly a native. Tracks with the current like a river switcher. That larger one had a silver eagle vessel in his wheelhouse. An eagle works tug. Like Hercules. So, Herc's got a bit of a kid brother. Well, that makes things much easier. Now to see if I can get him alone and then pour my pestilence in his ear. So will I turn Hercules' virtue into bitch, and out of his own goodness make the net that shall enmesh them all.
10 Cents had travelled down canals towards the edge of the harbour, where it met the actual city, looking for any sign of Typhoon. Trains and traffic buzzed overhead on flyovers, but down here at water level, it was quiet and shadowy. Many of the docks abandoned when the growing city had overtaken. He checked everywhere, noting the wide berths and moorings that were otherwise devoid of tugboats or any other vessels. This distant corner of the harbour was home only to rusting hulks, trapped in their abandoned docks. 10 Cents slowly eased between two such derelicts.
None of this has been disturbed. He's not even come down this way.
Yeah. Looking for me?
10 Cents whirled around, only to come bow to bow with a big ocean tug. Typhoon's bemused expression did nothing to lessen 10 Cents' realization that Sunshine was not with him, and that if something happened, he was too far away to call for assistance. Even a distress whistle would be swallowed up in the empty buildings.
Stay back. I'm warning you.
So, what was your name? Let's see what's written here. 10 Cents, is it? So, 10 Cents. Let's chat. Why are you following me round here, anyway?
We were ordered to keep an eye on you.
Ah, I see. Port authority, then. Good. But you see, you look a little young and a little colourful to be port authority to me. 10 cents? You know, though, 10 cents, I was looking for someone. Need to know where I could find a fellow ocean tug. Guy named Hercules.
Why is that?
Oh, need to have a little chat with him in regards to an incident some years back. Maybe you heard of the San Marcos? He quit us after that, you know.
Who's us? The Navy?
Aye, the 12th Flotilla. See, he and I had a bit of falling out with our commanding officers, if you know what I mean. I suppose you could say we were best mates at the time. I like the ornament on your wheelhouse, by the way. You're an Eagle Works tug, then? Like old Herc himself? Cut from the same patterns, cast from the same dye?
Yeah? What of it?
It's funny, but, in all the time I've known him, and he never made mention of a kid brother to me.
How could he? I only met him after he came to Big City 5 years ago. We're brothers, yeah, but we weren't built on the same dog.
Oh, no. I mean, recently. I work up and down the coast, you know. See old Herc all the time. And he never once mentioned a kid brother.
He didn't?
Why, only last month I helped him take a big ship he brought up from here to St. David's. What was her name again?
The Callisotan?
Ah, yes, that was her. The Callisotan. Ugly old Venture Lines freighter. Dirty hull, huge dent in her stack. Why, me and Hercules took 2 hours working that beast in. Talked a lot, we did, about the old days and about his life here with all his Starfleet shipmates. He sounded like a grand gang of blokes.
He never talked about me?
Oh, no, I'm afraid not at all, kid. I had to check your bow to catch your name. If old Herc had told me about you, I don't doubt I'd recognize you off the bat. Why, he told me all about your friend. How he's river tug, stocky fellow, red joiner's cap.
Yeah, that's Sunshine, all right.
Right, that's right, Sunshine. Along with Big Mac, Glaswegian, OJ the Peddler, that snob top hat, and, shall we say, a rather clumsy performer from the form of warrior. What a crew, eh?
Typhoon's trick was pure navy, an old interrogation technique called cold reading. He'd not seen Hercules in years, but by asking a lot of open-ended questions and letting 10 cents fill in the missing gaps, he now had him believing his story. Typhoon had twisted the Switcher's emotions to his own purpose, and made the lie seem all the more true by working in the information he'd learned from Zoran and from spying on the Switchers. I don't doubt that his old naval instructor would have been very proud at this master manipulation, but I can only call it torture. Torture of the mind and of the soul.
My apologies, we haven't been introduced properly yet, have we? You're 10 cents and I'm... Typhoon. Ty is what a lot of folks call me back home. Hercules must be very proud of you, no doubt, eh? Bet he tells you that all the time.
Yeah, he does.
Well, in all fairness to him, I would too. I mean, fine young switcher like yourself. Pride of the harbour, I no doubt. I don't suppose...
Yeah?
You wouldn't know where I could find him, would you? It would be such a help.
This trick was just typical of a naval tug, a bait and switch. 10 Cents was so preoccupied with the idea that Typhoon had dropped into his mind that he was no longer thinking about what he said. But never having enough encounters with them, 10 Cents had no idea what Typhoon's game was.
Hercules had a contract with Blue Nose this morning. Something about a couple of freighters.
Oh.
He's not been himself lately.
That's it, boy. Tell me what I need to know. But anyway, well, thank you, 10 Cents. I'll be on my way then, shall I?
Today's 9 years since the 12th flotilla incident, innit?
September 17th, yes. But I didn't want to say anything.
If you see Hercules,
Yes?
tell him I hope he enjoys the anniversary.
Very well. Good day to you, 10 Cents. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Too easy. Way too easy. Now for the rest of the harbour.
Hercules, you're into 12. When it's San Marcos. Why couldn't you tell me yourself?
There you are. I couldn't find him anywhere, 10 Cents. 10 Cents?
Let's go home.
What? But what about that Typhoon character?
He's the Coast Guard's problem, not ours.
But we promised him.
Sunshine, let's go home, alright?
Oh no, we're not going nowhere till you tell me what the heck brought all this on.
I don't want to talk about it.
And you call me the stubborn side of this partnership.
Hercules lied to me.
What?
All those times he told me how proud he was of me. How I was the best tug in the harbour. How he was just catching the light coming off me. He lied, Sunshine, the scuttlebutt lied. That joke was never proud of me. Never.
Do you ever get the feeling you missed something vitally important deciphering the mud swings of your best friend, and a sudden hatred for his older brother and role model of 5 years, all in the space of 30 seconds? 10 Cents, way up!
Typhoon watched with a malevolent pride as 10 Cents and Sunshine made their way down the canal. Then he slipped away to carry on and intensify what he had already begun. Hercules, meanwhile, had just finished towing in Etna and Vesuvius, Blue Nose harassing him the entire way. Fortunately, the officious naval tug was satisfied with his work and let him go on without any further hassle. Hercules was simply glad to be rid of him. Etna and Vesuvius were good company and pleasant ships, but Blue Nose was one reminder too many of his naval days.
Give me strength, please. Just give me strength not to go back there and...
Hercules took a route through the back canals, glad to be alone and to clear his head. He hadn't gone very far before he passed Zoran and Zack, en route to the steelworks. At first, Hercules thought nothing of their glares. It was usually normal behavior in the Z-Stacks case. But when he tooted a greeting to his fellow stars, OJ and Top Hat, at the coal depot, there was no usual acknowledgement, no cheery greeting, just cold, hard stares. Hercules was left wondering what he had done to deserve it.
I see someone got out on the wrong side of the dock today.
You never struck me as someone who could lie through his teeth, Hercules.
Lie? What? Hey, wait a minute. What have I done to deserve this?
Someone has a short memory span.
You know, for someone so used to getting his own way, only because he's a stuck-up twerp.
Typhoon told us everything you chose not to.
Typhoon!
No small wonder that 10 Cents wants nothing more to do with you. You never told Typhoon he existed. What sort of a brother does that?
I'd not met 10 Cents when I knew Typhoon in the Navy, and I've not seen that bilge rat in 5 years. How dare you imply?
Ah, so there you are.
Big Mac. So Typhoon got to you too, I see. Well, whatever he said to you are his words, not mine.
He did a fine job of convincing us, that's for certain. Dragging a fine lad like 10 cents down into the gutter to respect you, eh? And as for what you did 9 years ago, well, I hope the murdered dead of the San Marcos are more forgiving of you than me.
I did nothing of the sort. And as for the San Marcos, may they rest in peace, yes, but I had nothing to do with it.
Seems to me it's a side of you we've yet to see.
Oh no, boy. Not you. Look, do you think there's a day that goes by when I don't think about what happened? Do you?
You tell us?
Suddenly my droopy tow line doesn't seem quite as big a deal as it previously did, eh, Hercules? Given that there's far worse that we can speak of here.
What can I say that won't make you believe Typhoon outright?
Really? The only tug I can see who couldn't trust his mates enough to tell them the truth about himself is you, Hercules.
Well now, Hercules, if I were you, I'd stay away from the Star Pier. They might soften things eventually, but right now, you're not welcome.
So this is how it ends?
Never quite expected to see that happen. So Hercules was responsible for the San Marcos? Well, now he gets his due. 9 years ago, everything fell apart thanks to him. But now, everything's slotted nicely into place, thanks to our new pal Typhoon.
Hercules won't be able to hang about here for much longer if things keep going like this. And maybe this is just a start. If Typhoon's driven a wedge into the stars, how long before they can't stand the sight of each other anymore? How long before they turn on each other?
And when that blessed day comes, when Startug and Marine form apart,
Zero Marine will collect what's left.
All the liners, all the trampers,
every steel rig, ferry tow, flatbed, file barge.
All of it will be ours. Every contract in the port with the Z-Stack stamp on the dotted line.
Yeah, and we get back to where we were when the St. Marco went down.
Top of the lock.
Came to the heap.
Lords, gods and masters of Big City Port.
Big Zero Port.
Just like we were in 1918.
Oh, yes. Only the fake Typhoon hers will make next time we see him.
I'm sure we can save that part for the fireworks that he promised for later on.
Typhoon had done a fine job of convincing my tugs that his side of the events was the truth, and their reports of what he said soon reached my office window. Yet part of me didn't believe him, didn't want to believe him, but it was hard not to, and every time my leg twinged or ached that day, I remembered the deck of the San Marco tipping out from under me, and I thought of Hercules. Could he have been to blame for that fine ship's demise?
Sir, lookouts report 3 torpedoes to starboard, 500 yards, closing fast.
Pilot point! Engine room! Boiler full stern! Starboard! Head full! Full steam in the engine!
Hard approach, aye.
100 yards. Turn, Star! Turn!
The helm's hard over, sir.
It's not enough. Oh, hey! Break through attack!
It's too late.
The only one of my tugs not having second thoughts about Hercules was Sunshine. As far as he was concerned, Typhoon was lying, and he was all the more determined to find out the truth for himself.
How can you believe someone who's not been more than a day in the harbour over someone who's been in the fleet for over 5 years? Longer than me, man.
Hercules lied to us, Sunshine.
Uh-huh. And that's all you're gonna say?
Listen, you, he's not your brother.
So what the heck does that make you then? Just another Eagleworks serial number.
What the heck is that supposed to mean?
It means you're being the jerk, not Hercules. 2 years ago, when I first arrived, I was made to look like something I wasn't. You believed in me then, man. And didn't Captain Star thank you for teaching the fleet a lesson in trust in friendship and jumping to conclusions before knowing the truth? Why can't you extend the same trust to Hercules, man?
Sunshine, why are you defending someone who can't even trust us enough to tell us the truth?
Because he's my friend, and acting a great deal more like one than you are at the moment.
And what the heck are you acting like then?
Oh, for the love of...
Go after him then, see if I care.
You know, for someone who always told me he loved his older brother like his best friend, you sure as heck aren't showing it.
And for someone who told me he'd never abandoned me for my decisions, you aren't any better.
10 cents.
Get lost, Sunshine. And if you find him, don't bother coming home, either of you.
I'm only trying to do what's right.
Despite feeling upset that he'd fought with his friend, Sunshine refused to dwell on it and set off to find Hercules.
Watching the ships rolling, hoping that I will still be his friend in the morning. Watching those ships roll by, wishing that I could move this earth if I could. For you I would do. I've got nothing to say, I've got nothing to lay at your feet. I just keep hoping, hoping you will be the man that I couldn't be. Still watching the oceans move. If only I could show you my soul and the places I've been. Watching the ocean curl and little girls playing in the sand as I walk, longing to listen to you talk. But I've got nothing to say, and I've got nothing to lay at your feet. I just keep hoping, hoping you will be the man that I could be. I've got nothing to say, and I've got nothing to lay at your feet. I just keep hoping, hoping you will be the man that I couldn't be.
Hercules himself was in a cove round the point, looking out over the stretch of coastline where the wreck of the San Marco lay hidden below the surface. He'd dropped his fire and his boiler was cold as he sat at anchor, trying to understand what Typhoon must have said to turn the others against him. He wasn't expecting to see the ocean tug himself out there.
Well, Herc. Had a notion I'd find you here, but even then, well, wasn't this the cove from where they fired off those torpedoes? Bit morbid of you, ain't it?
You!
Oh, no, none of that. You don't need another black mark on the record now, do you? Anyway, what can you do with a coal engine and no steam? So, while you no doubt light your fire and try to raise pressure, we're going to have a little chat. Let me just anchor myself nice and comfortable.
What did you tell them?
The truth, of course.
You mean your version of the truth?
Ah, really? There are no versions of the truth, you garbage. No, actually, tell a lie. The truth's what I claim to be, quite naturally. And you can't get a word in edgeways now anyway, now can you?
For 6 years, Typhoon, I stood by. I supported you, gave you a chance when no one else would, even made you my second in command. I trusted you, Typhoon. And for what? This?
Hurts, doesn't it? Should have listened to Admiral Annapolis when he told you I was in trouble.
I'm of the ideal that everyone gets a second chance.
Well, in that case, you're a bit of an idiot. Grade A idiot. You know that? I mean, you let me in. You let me get close to you. That was your first mistake. You made it way too easy. I'm more of a challenge man myself.
How could you do this?
Really, Hercules? Not everyone can be a stellar example of a leader. You were standing there in my rightful place, commander of the 12th Flotilla, tugboat of supplies. I felt threatened.
You what?
Now, don't act so surprised. You knew I wanted leadership. Who was leader? Who was only second in command?
I'd have given it to you if you had just asked.
Ask for leadership? Ask for power? Blimey, command's something that should be taken, not given. I knew that from my first day as a cadet. So I worked my way up, slowly, patiently, loyally.
Damn you, I believed it every step of the way.
Why, thank you. I did like to consider that a bit of a compliment. It was time-consuming, but worth it. How poor are they that have no patience? What wound did ever heal but by degrees? Thou know'st we work by wit and not by witchcraft. Wit depends on dilatory time. Bless my heart. I love quoting honest Iago. Shakespeare was right on the toe line when he wrote that. You see, we villains, Iago and I, we get our best lines. Usually come out laughing.
A villain, even you say you're a villain. Well, say that to a face other than mine. Tell my friends the truth. I demand it.
Demand nothing. What you know, you know. From this time forth, I'll never speak a word.
Yes, and what about the next lines, Typhoon? What, not to pray? Torments will open your...
Threats of violence, Hercules. Oh, blimey. Not your line of work.
The villain is always dragged before justice, Typhoon, and will always confess, be it by torture or otherwise.
And face another tribunal? Oh, come on, no naval tug ever wants to suffer that twice.
You were my friend, Machan. I'd have gone through it however many times you needed it.
Which makes you the naive fool in the end, unfortunately. The noble, upstanding, powerful, but otherwise quite gullible, foolish, and surprisingly weak Othello, lured to fall to his own sword. Did you honestly think the Admiralty would protect you when they found out the San Marcos was signalled through into the firing zone?
What?
Well, when things go wrong, Hercules, when the flotsam hits the propeller, it's not how many friends you had in the Admiralty that matters. It's how many friends you have left after the last bit of wreckage turns turbulent sinks below the surface.
It was you, wasn't it? You signaled her through.
Bravo! Ladies and gentle tugs, he can be taught. Starting to work it out, Hercules? Finally!
Those were... They were innocents, Typhoon!
Really? No one's actually innocent, shall we say? Least of all in a time of war. I never understood your awe of liners, Hercules. Yes, they're big, but in the end they're just luxurious gin palaces. All the pomp and circumstance and no substance as such. Ah, give me a battle cruiser any day. The strength, the muscle, the bristling armament, all that potent power. And then it's such a thrill to see that power destroyed on your own whim. The sound of those torpedoes impacting the San Marcos' side. They reverberate in my soul to this day. If I were a musician, then I'd probably call them my greatest composition, to tell the truth.
You are a monster!
With your words. You're a fool.
No more than you.
Oh, no. You see, I'm the fool with your entire fleet on my side. Including your captain.
The hopelessness of the situation was finally driven home for Hercules. Typhoon was right. What proof did he have that could trump his deceptive arguments? But then, as Typhoon continued to taunt him, Sunshine slipped into the mouth of the cove.
Hercules?
Sunshine ducked behind some rocks, backing up as close to shore as he dared. Watching Typhoon bade Hercules farewell, heading back to Big City Port. He waited until the other ocean tug was round the point and out of earshot before pulling forwards towards his friend.
Sunshine?
Hercules! I saw Typhoon and...
Please tell me you didn't believe him, do you?
Oi, man, do you think I'm full enough to believe a chavvy Machan like that? Remember, I've been on the receiving end of this kind of treatment time before.
You came out looking for me?
No, I came out here looking for me and Matilda, man. Of course you!
It's good to know I at least have someone willing to hear me out.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing 10 cents would be here too, but I'm guessing Typhoon got him first.
Not surprising. In all our time in the Navy, he always came first in interrogation and manipulation. Seems he's not changed in 15 years.
15? I thought this was just the 9th anniversary of the San Marcos.
You're not wrong. It is the 9th anniversary. But I knew Typhoon for 6 years before that unpleasant day. I was his commanding officer, you see.
Oh, okay. That jerk's obviously been spreading his own version of things around, and really, I don't buy it any further than I can tow him.
You're a good egg, Sunshine.
I try, you know. Here, while you get your boiler going, I'll take you in tow.
Many thanks for the offer, Sunshine, but where can I go?
Why, back to Big City, of course, and clear your name. So,
You want to hear my version of the events, don't you?
Yeah.
Tuesday, September 17th, 1918. The 12th Flotilla were out assisting Operation Scipio, the torpedo trials. It was meant to be routine, or at least that was how I remember it. Myself, Typhoon, and the rest of the flotilla's ocean tugs, Elmira and Laverne, were keeping up coastal security, with 2 destroyers, one maintaining perimeter security out at sea and the other just off this cove, beam on to the firing zone, loaded with live torpedoes. The target was a condemned liner called the Carthage Maroon. We towed her down from St. David's the day before and held her at the starting line while we established the perimeter. She'd gotten up steam, and then a skeleton crew would set her in motion and abandon ship, except for a single officer and a helmsman on the bridge. I was overseeing the tugboat operations as leader, and about halfway through the day, it all went wrong.
Go on.
There was light fog, and the San Marco was a Pennsylvania-class battlecruiser with 4 funnels, just like the Carthage Maru. The launch had been green-lit. The Maru was heading slowly towards the firing zone. And then the San Marco came at speed around the point, overtook the Maru, and steamed into the sights of the firing line. It was foggy. She had 4 funnels. The profiles matched. Before anyone knew what had happened, she'd taken 3 fish in the side and was listing. It was too late to warn anyone, too late to do anything, and as a result, most of those people died, never knowing what had hit them.
Hercules, where was Typhoon in all of this?
He was called away in the last hour, and returned just as the ship rolled over, while we were rescuing survivors. He told me to my face that he let her in, but there's no proof of it. The inquiry into the sinking was kept top secret, and the public statement only made a broad condemnation of the 12th Flotilla. He and I were dishonorably discharged in order to provide a public scapegoat. Now I suspect he was bought off with promises of future command. He was always power-hungry.
Isn't there, documentation for that? I mean, he can't have let her through without someone keeping some sort of record of it.
The Navy always keeps documents. They record everything, minor, major, and everything in between. If Typhoon signed the San Marco through, there'd almost certainly be a paper record.
Okay, so can't you get that out of your old Navy pals out of St. David's?
No go, like I said. Almost all records relating to the sinking were classified and sealed away after the inquiry.
Ah, but there's other forms of records aside from paperwork, man.
What do you have in mind?
Oh, you'll see, man. You'll see.
With that confident remark, Sunshine set off with Hercules in tow, heading up the coast for St. David's Naval Base. When the next morning rolled around, Typhoon was up and already hanging around the Star Pier, waiting to see if Hercules would return. At this point, I was sure that he had been lying to us the entire time. But like my ocean tug, I had no proof of it. And despite everything, I myself wanted to get to the bottom of the San Marco mystery. In the aftermath of the sinking, I'd been laid up in hospital with a crushed leg and a delirious fever from an infected wound. Because of that delirium, my memories were determined to be too fragmented to be of any use to the inquiry. And so I only ever heard the official statement that blamed the 12th Flotilla on the grounds of gross incompetence. But there was something about Typhoon that bothered me. Something peeking through the fevered dreams that made all my memories of the sinking confused and unreliable. We didn't have to wait long. Before the dawn briefing was finished, Hercules steamed into the Star Pier without hesitation, ignoring the hard stares that he received from the others.
Hello, Hercules.
At the sound of Hercules' engine, Typhoon moved in, and so did a deputation from the Z-Stacks, unable to resist their curiosity any longer.
Ah, lovely. The prodigal sun returns, it would seem.
Stow it, Ty. You're in enough hot water as it is.
So, what's a little more, exactly?
You're awfully confident for someone whose credibility's been smashed to pieces, Hercules. And now, your reputation in the harbour gonna sink even lower. Innit, Typhoon?
But anyway, now we're all here, why don't you finally explain your side of the story? I'm sure the Starfleet's willing to listen now, as you might say.
9 years ago, on the 17th of September, 1918, at 1100 hours, the 12th Flotilla of the Navy Tugboat and Supplies commenced assisting in the execution of Operation Scipio, a training operation off the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. Operation Scipio was a live-fire operation, with prototype torpedoes being fired at stationary and moving targets. As such, a perimeter boundary around the area was demarked, and all shipping was diverted around that boundary for the duration of the operation. I was placed in charge of maintaining the coastal boundaries as leader and overseeing officer. Commander Typhoon was my second in command.
Go on, Hercules.
The first 15 minutes of the live test were uneventful, until Commander Typhoon was called from my side.
You had your own duties to oversee. I had mine.
You disobeyed my orders by leaving.
Hercules, let Typhoon finish.
I was called away by command. I had higher orders.
Commander Typhoon was gone for over an hour. Once the first battery of tests were completed, we moved on to the training's secondary stage, a live target, the former Ryoko Line steamer SS Carthage Maroon. At that time, a United States Pennsylvania-class battlecruiser, USS San Marco, came round the point and crossed paths with the firing as the live launch was greenlit. By the time Elmira and Laverne sent up warning flares, the San Marco was struck in the starboard side. With 830 officers and enlisted men aboard, 600 perished.
Very well, Hercules. I now understand why you once described your number 6 as fitting.
I did try to tell you he was a bit of a murderer, Captain. Permission to allow the San Marcos into the firing zone could only have come from him.
You and your wretched crew brought Big City to its knees. All these years you've typecast us Zents as crooks. It turns out you're the biggest criminal of all. I'd take pleasure in scuttling you myself.
Really? I'm sure many in this port would probably share such sentiments, Soren. It's the pillory for you, old friend.
Everything you ever wanted, isn't it?
Permit me, Captain Star. There's a couple of tiny details you all missed there. Ty, I've brought evidence to corroborate Hercules' innocence.
Carry on, Sunshine.
You know, I've got to hand it to you, Typhoon. I thought you had it all figured out, didn't you?
What?
Oh, you've got the gift of the gab, all right. And history is on your side that the Navy classified almost all records of the San Marcos sinking, meaning that there's no paper evidence against your story.
Sunshine, what on earth are you on about?
Yeah, but the fact remains that not only is Hercules a liar and a murderer to boot, he's also responsible for the near-economic collapse of Big City Port. No one's going to want to touch you stars with a barge port now, not after harbouring him for so long.
Zoran, if you wouldn't mind shutting up for all of 2 minutes, I'm sure we'd all appreciate what these two togs have to say.
Oh, yes. Go on. Enlighten us, if you insist.
I'm getting there. See, although the Navy classified all records of the sinking, another record exists in the memories of the two remaining eyewitnesses. Present straight from St. David's Naval Base, the 12th Tugboat and Supply Flotilla.
Elmira? And Laverne? What are you two doing here?
Salutations, Typhoon. And hello, Commander.
Commander Hercules.
Elmira.
Request permission to defend your honor, sir.
Permission granted.
Captain Star, sir. It's a pleasure and an honor to meet you at last. First of all, may I salute you as an officer, gentleman, a war veteran, and a hero of the USS San Marcos.
What?
Salute returned, Elmira. Yes, everyone, most of you know that during the early days of Starfleet I walked with a cane as a result of a leg injury. I kept it to myself all these years, but That injury was received aboard the San Marco when she went down. A hatch fell on me and crushed my thigh.
With respect, sir, you do yourself a disservice. According to what few classified records exist of the sinking, your injury was received because you were using that leg to hold the hatch open, allowing trapped men to escape from a flooding compartment as the ship went down. Such valorous conduct is the very definition of the Navy at its best. Courage, self-sacrifice, duty to one's men and one's country. I know we get a lot of bad press around these waters, but you represent an ideal of what we strive for.
All this lovely hero worship aside, didn't you have something to say? Or are you just blowing hot water out your stack, eh, Ty? Ty?
Everyone turned. Typhoon was trying to discreetly back out of the dock. Laverne, resplendent in battleship grey, quickly lassoed him with tow lines and held him at bay.
Don't leave, Ty. Those supposed fireworks of yours were duds. But don't worry, we'll make sure it's an equally spectacular show, which blows up in your face.
Go easy on him, Laverne. He's innocent until proven guilty. Captain Starr, I returned to Commander Hercules' side from checking the southern boundary of the test area an hour before the San Marcos was hit, at the same time as Typhoon left. I was with Hercules the whole time. I saw the San Marcos go down, and not once did Hercules grant that ship clearance, or act with anything less than the highest standards of conduct and decorum. As with you, his actions to save survivors were valor of the best caliber, and a lot of men owe their lives to the two of you.
And I'll say the same. Hercules was dishonorably discharged from the Navy because he took the blame for the sinking in order to protect the other members of the flotilla. He fell on his own sword for a crime he was innocent of. Typhoon received the same treatment, and at the time we all felt he was showing loyalty. Now, though, it seems he was trying to slip away without catching the blame.
Because if Hercules did not authorize the ship through, as evidenced by myself and Laverne, then it can only have been Typhoon. Naval Ships Registered Victor Juliet 1918.
Victor Juliet 1918.
Juliet 1918. Oh. Oh dear. Too late for an apology then, Herc? Old buddy.
You liar!
Typhoon,
You
liar!
You
liar!
piece of scum!
You liar!
One's not enough for a dirty double-crossed Typhoon. You cost us a wealth of contracts 9 years ago, and now you've gone and messed us around today. Why I ought
Lay
to...
your hands on him. Though if I had my way, I'd do it myself.
Captain Starr?
Patrick Starr, Ensign, United States Naval Reserve, assigned to CA-20 USS San Marco, September 1918. Purpose of assignment, to act as bridge officer for the San Marco shakedown cruise after overhaul, with orders to proceed south at full speed from St. David's Naval Shipyard on the morning of September 17th. My memories of the sinking were scarce, Typhoon, but you've just jogged them. My deepest thanks. I was on the San Marcos bridge as we approached the boundary, slowed to a halt, and awaited a new course around the firing zone. Naval tug VJ 1918 was there, waiting for us at Denver Rocks. It confirmed our clearance to proceed straight through, guided us past the rocks, and sent us on our way. Wished us good luck as we went. And that was you. You were VJ 1918.
Captain, I never knew.
Much as I never knew the details of your story, Hercules, I'm truly sorry for what you suffered.
And I for you, sir. Forgive me for not saluting, but please allow me to dip my pennant in respect.
Here! One by one, the various tugs dipped their flags to half-mast, even some of the Z-stacks. In all the years I've been suffering the lingering pain of the San Marco, I don't think I'd ever been so moved.
Well, that's enough for me. Amira, my dear, care to help me escort this gutter trash away?
Apologies, Hercules. As for him, I hope he gets what's coming to him.
Easy there, OJ. Don't forget, Zoran and the Z-stacks are victims in all this too. But at least now the true culprit is in the floodlight.
You almost got away with it, didn't you?
Hello, Typhoon. Don't you high-yell me, murderer.
I would want to be in your hull if Admiral Annapolis was still overseeing our flotilla.
Admiral Annapolis?
Lucky for you, he retired some years ago. But he's still got influence in the Navy, and I'm sure he'd be very, very interested in hearing this little yarn.
Laverne. Buddy. Pal. Mate.
Amazing. Was he always like this with you?
Oh, yes. About the same when people's backs were turned.
Oh, I would so enjoy escorting you straight to the good old Admiralty. Clapped in irons, dry docked, sea cocked, the works. Shame, really.
Captain Starr, you'll have to forgive the intrusion this ruffian of ours has caused you and yours. The 12th Flotilla was nearly disbanded after the San Marcos, but we survived thanks to Commander Hercules. He took responsibility and a dishonorable discharge so as to protect us, hence why Lieutenant Elmira and myself are still with the Navy. We owe him our careers. The Navy owes him a debt of gratitude.
I want to thank the two of you for this. Up until now, we had serious doubts about one of our own.
'Tis an honest mistake, Captain. Honestly and truly, you had no idea that Typhoon was all too willing to pour pestilence in your ear, like some Shakespearean villain. Having been his crewmate for 6 years prior to the incident, it doesn't surprise any of us that he'd lower himself to the level of a common criminal. You have to thank your switcher Sunshine as well, Captain. Without his tenacity to seek us out, defying our new commanders incidentally, we'd have not arrived as swiftly as we did.
10 Cents taught me how to outwit naval officers by practicing on Blue Nose. So you'd best be thanking him, Laverne.
Huh? Me?
Well, thank you to both your switchers then, Captain.
Oh, so that's how it all came out. You little brats!
Belt up, you.
Quite. We'll be on our way, Captain Starr. Again, on behalf of the 12th Division, our apologies for this unsightly fracas.
If Admiral Annapolis were still in charge, we'd have Typhoon before a tribunal in hours. However, we don't have the authority to arrest or hold this fellow without a formal charge. But we can drag him back to St. David's and hold him for 24 hours, and if your port authorities want to see the back of him, we can certainly punish him if he shows his face around here again.
Excellent. Sunshine, 10 Cents. When we're wrapped up, go find the Coast Guard immediately. I'm sure he'll be only too glad to blacklist Typhoon's registry.
Well, if that's settled, we'll be on our way back up north.
Captain Starr, gentlemen, Commander.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander.
You know, Commander, if you ever choose to return to the Navy...
I'm no good for that, old man. The Starfleet is my home now. This is where I lie.
Was worth a try, I suppose. Fair seas, Commander.
Fair seas, Lieutenant Commander Laverne.
Lieutenant Commander? Oh, very impressive. So at last, rather like Iago and Claudius all in the same go, I've been caught. But just remember this, Hercules. It's not the friends you had. It's the friends you have left. And when the next war comes, and I'm very confident it will come, we'll see each other again, and then see how things have changed. Oh, you're well tuned now, but I'll set down the pegs that make the music, honest as I may be.
Less of that, you. Come on.
Oh, it's garbage brains.
And with those words, the two naval tugs and the ocean tug Typhoon were gone. There was a short period of uneasiness before Hercules himself said what we were all thinking.
I want to apologize for my behavior. Up until now, I'd always carried the guilt of that accident on my shoulders, and it never occurred to me to speak about it. I had my own fears that if any of you knew the details of my past, I'd not be here today.
Enough of that, Hercules. 5 years ago, I was delighted to welcome an ex-naval tug of your caliber into my fleet, and nothing's changed since then. If anything, I should apologize. You trusted me, and I broke that trust.
Aye, the captain's right, Hercules. It's us who should be asking to be forgiven.
Trusting him over you. That's what a stand-up should be ascribing to.
You didn't know otherwise.
Yes, but that's no excuse.
Hercules, I'm sorry. We're all sorry for our behavior against you. Typhoon was,
Convincing? I know. He learnt from the best villains, after all. Macbeth, Iago, Claudius. He always loved his Shakespeare. And if I weren't so trusting, I'd have seen he was that way from the very start. A villain through and through. Still, the story shouldn't have come from his mouth. It should have come from mine.
Hercules,
10 cents, I've always been very proud of you. I still am. But I'm not so proud that you and Sunshine had a fight over this mess.
Huh?
What? You told him?
I didn't say nothing.
You two are never seen without the other. You turned up alone to find me, Sunshine, and as much as you tried to hide it, I know when you're pretending things are all right. The same goes for you, 10 cents. It doesn't take much to put the two together.
Well,
As much of a jerk as he can be, Sunshine.
Hey!
10 cents is very fond of you.
Yeah, can't say I deny that.
And as stubborn as Sunshine is,
Oi!
You wouldn't put up with anyone else, 10 cents.
Yeah, I suppose.
come on, you two.
Friends? It can't be that hard, can it?
It shouldn't be, Sunshine.
Indeed. Welcome back, Hercules. On a big scale from all of us.
Here, Hercules.
Huh?
What about that idea you had en route back to Big City?
What? Oh yes. Captain Star, with your permission, sir, there's something I'd like to do. 10 cents or Sunshine, can you catch up with Laverne and Elmira and extend this offer? And then find the Coast Guard.
That evening, my tugs, myself, Hercules' old crew, and the Coast Guard were out in the estuary. At 10 cents and Hercules' insistence, I was in my old navy dress uniform, and with not some small touch of regret, I stood on Hercules' foredeck and dropped a wreath into the waters, without, I'm proud to say, a single limp from my leg.
They that go down to the sea in ships and do their business in great waters, they see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep.
For by his words he stirs up the great winds, and lifts them up like waves unto heaven, and then returns them unto the deep.
May they rest in peace. Amen.
Thank you for this, Coast Guard.
We drop a wreath here every year, just as we do for the Titanic and certain other ships, and our invitation was always welcome to you and yours.
If the Navy held an inquiry, why didn't they find out the truth?
I'm guessing they did, but kept it quiet because either they found out Typhoon was playing his own sick game, or that he was acting under someone's orders. Either way, it would have been an embarrassment for the Navy to reveal to the public, so rather than face a scandal, they deep-sixed it, threw it overboard, buried it.
Then why do you stay a part of them?
Because for every Typhoon that's in the Navy, there's a Hercules, or a Patrick Star. The Navy may be overbearing and self-protective, but ultimately it's a noble institution that upholds the safety of the nation. And if it does right, does with dignity and pride, I think that's why we stayed, to demonstrate that. And after all, who else would teach the next generation of recruits? Blue Nose?
Blue Nose. Thought of him teaching the young ones.
So, Laverne, where do you two go from here?
I'm not really that sure. We keep an eye out for Typhoon, of course, but once he's turned free, we can't stalk him. Elmira will contact Admiral Annapolis, who might be able to get the San Marcos case reopened, but until then, we do what we've always done, the best job we can, and keep our noses clean. If this does become a scandal, then I doubt they'll disband the 12th Flotilla for good, scrub our memory clean, and salt the earth where we once stood. Sadly, we don't have the authority to stop such a decision if it does come to pass. So we play it by ear and hope for the best.
Kipling said it best. Be thankful you're living and trust your luck, and march to your front like a soldier.
Well said, Coast Guard.
I know, Laffy, I know. That's how the game is played.
You keep with the Starfleet, you hear, Hercules?
If we ever find out you let this crew down, I'll show you what.
You were the friends of my youth. My pals through thick and thin. And everything else in between. Some days I miss you like heck.
Likewise, you old dog. You're a prince, Hercules.
I can't call what we went through fun, but you sure as all heck made it interesting. Take care of yourself, Hercules.
You fellas make sure he does right?
You can bet on it.
That's on it.
Thank you, all of you, for all your help.
Our pleasure, Captain Star. Fair seas and sails to you, Commander.
After that incident, things went much back to how they had been. But a subtle change had occurred. My StarTug team became a lot more willing to talk to one another about the things that mattered most to them. And some of us finally got to say what we'd been keeping bottled up. Like Top Hat and Warrior. A little more openness did us all a world of good, and allowed Hercules to rest easy again. So it all seemed to work out for the best. And yet, I couldn't help but feel troubled. Typhoon had presented himself as an Iago, a rogue agent working for his own sick pleasure. But aboard the San Marco I'd seen otherwise. Typhoon only assisted us into the firing zone after orders had been radioed to us to proceed full steam ahead. Orders from high up in Naval Command. So was he a rogue, or part of something bigger? This I do know. At the end of the war, our torpedo technology was unreliable at best, and some in the Navy argued for increased spending and development for the next war, and the next, and the next. They wanted proper targets as tests of torpedo efficiency, not rusted old liners and freighters like the Carthage Maroon. Could they have arranged for the San Marco to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, to act as a proper target? Were those orders to proceed at full steam south through the firing zone sent in error, or intentionally a finger beckoning her to the grave? If so, who was responsible? Are they still in power? And was this encounter with Typhoon a warning of more to come? Was Typhoon our Stormbringer?